What's up, everybody? It's a shocker. I'm back, but had a week of vacation. I planned to do our Q&A yesterday, but the kids were just fuckers. So, welcome to a special Tuesday edition for those of you guys who are new here. My name's Frankie Finn. I wrote those two best-selling books. You can see them there, and have built three of my own agencies, up to 100 plus clients, and helped thousands of you guys out there to live this more beach, less laptop lifestyle. And I've been doing this shit more than 20 years. So um, that's a long time since homeboy over here had a real job. I'll tell you that. Anyways, just a quick little announcement before we get rocking and rolling. But I am putting together a live event for video closing that is going to happen in Los Angeles. It is going to be mid-June, although I'm confirming some details with hotels and shit like that. So if you guys are interested and you want to get on the waiting list, you just let me know. What's up? Ed is in the house. Other than that, that's all I got. So I say, let's get into the good shit. I got a whole bunch of questions on the backlog. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A with the greatest of all time. The man they call the man, His Holiness the Dude, 170 pounds of pure steel and sex appeal. It's Frankie Finn. All right. That's enough of building myself up. I like that you guys call me the GOAT. I like it. Cameron says first, you sell 10 different services, but 80% of your profit comes from just two of them. What do you do with the other 8? This was obviously like he posted it in the group. Cam, I love you, buddy. I know this was just meant as a sarcastic thing, not really as a question, but I wanted to comment on it anyway, which is if you guys want to scale shit, less services is better. Like scaling, a lot of people look at companies like say like McDonald's and Amazon who do, 175 different things. But when McDonald's first scaled, all they sold were burgers again and again and again and again, copy and paste precision. When Amazon first scaled, books. That was it. So a lot of times, I know you guys can do websites. I know you can do GHL. I know you can run pay-per-click ads. I know you can, do AI automations and shit. And I'm fine with any of those. Just pick one and make sure that okay, you put a lot of effort into, like McDonald's put a lot of effort into making the first burger. It was the second and the third and the fourth one where the real efficiency came. So that's why I'm really big on pick a niche, because you can reuse shit from client to client, which makes your scaling life way easier. I'm just talking personally. When I had 5 to 10 custom clients, it was more work than when we had 50 clients in one niche doing the same thing. What do you think about that? Obviously, like 50 clients, we're specialized, so we make more money per client. We're doing the same thing, so it's copy and paste. It was easy to train staff, and it was easy for me to walk away from it. And yet I made way more money, and it was easier than when I had 5, 10 custom clients. So I ain't telling you guys what to do, but I'm just saying it's easier, which I'm Micah. So anyways, enough of a rant on that. Stuart says, would lawn care be a good niche? I'm not sure about high-paying clients, but I do have a Facebook group with around 110 lawn care businesses. I'm thinking of doing Handraiser posts in the group and running ads. My plan is to build a fully automated website using GHL. I'm not aiming to build anything huge, but I am due to retire in a couple of years, and 10K a month would do nicely. I would be interested to hear anyone's thoughts on the plan. First of all, dude, if you got 110,000 landscapers in a group and you have any sort of relationship with them at all, you're already sitting on way more than 10K a month, just so you know. So for those of you guys who have never read it, that white one right there is my second book. It's called Passive Automated Recurring Income. And give you guys a little bit of backstory on the book. Many of you guys read what I read, which is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. It was a great book. Problem is, I was like a digital guy, and I didn't know how to use it. Like he was talking about, you want your money to come from assets, stocks, companies, real estate, gold, silver, things you own that produce cash. And I thought that was all great, but I work in the digital world. I didn't really know what to do with it. And then one day I came to realize that digital had all the equivalent. For example, I'll give you a power of what you're sitting on, which I think is the most valuable asset in the world, which is called distribution, Stuart. Why do Super Bowl commercials sell for so much fucking money? That's my example. And the answer is really, really simple, because all the eyeballs are there, right? So if you have 110,000 people in a group, You don't even have to sell your own shit. You can sell other people's shit. Like, for example, like landscapers use tools like the Aerator 9000 and the Tree Cutter 2000 or whatever. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a landscaper. But if you went to some of those companies and said, hey, I got 110,000 people in a group and I would love to offer them your products and services, do you think there's any way you could put together a special deal? They'll say yes, like 19 times out of 20. And then you say, hey, do you think you could pay me a commission on those sales? Again, they'll say yes, 19 times out of 20. Now you can go back to your group and be like, hey, the Aerator 9000, I know a lot of y'all like that thing, but I was able to get it 20% off for our fine folks here. You look like a hero. You make money. You don't even have to deliver anything, which is why the book is called Passive Automated Recurring Income, because you get distribution, you can resell. So to me, I would broker services. I would find people already making websites. I would find people already doing services for landscapers. I would find people. And you can, by the way, you can go to ChatGPT and just be like, give me a list of all these people. I have a tool I call my distribution monetizer, which is once you have an audience, like a Facebook community, for example, you put it in, it'll tell you all the things those people are already buying. It'll give you 25, 30 ideas on things you can sell. And all of those are zero fulfillment. So yeah, you can make them websites too, but you're sitting on a mountain of fucking cash, just so you know. Can you outsource services? Like, for example, offer Facebook ads via another agency? Yes, it's called white labeling. I'll put a list for you guys, but we have a list of recommended white label partners. I typically update this pretty frequently, every couple of weeks anyway. I think the last time I updated it was like a week or two, but I'll put it in the chat for you. But you know, it's the same thing as like, to your question, like if a general contractor gets work, but they don't do electrical, like it would be stupid to turn away electrical work. They find a subcontractor who does the work and they mark his work up a couple of bucks an hour and they make money, and they find a good electrician, and their value add is having good people. So there's our list of good people. Micah says, I know you talk a lot about looms, but what things would make a good offer package doc to send to prospects? Well, the biggest thing is I'll tell you, that's kind of a loaded question, Micah, but most people, the thing they think they're selling is not what they're selling. And so if you get really clear on what you're actually selling, whether you use Loom, or sometimes I actually use Google Docs as well. Like I sell a lot of stuff through Google Docs. If you do that, what will happen is the sales will pop easier and easier. And I'll give you an example. What most people want in most industries, for those of you guys who work with local businesses, is specific types of sales. So we were at a Sam Carlson's MVP event, and I remember somebody said that Josh was in the room and he was a former chiropractor. And I said, can you just confirm what I said? What most people do is they go, hire me and I'll get you more leads and more sales and more customers and more patients and more. And I said, Josh, can you just confirm what I'm saying, that a lot of the patients you get, you don't even make money from, like when you pay your office and your staff and the advertising cost and an hour of working on them, et cetera, like you don't actually make any money. And he said, all the time. And he said, if somebody came to you and said, I get you more and more and more of that, would you want it? And he'd be like, of course not. I don't make any money on it. It's just a lot of work. I hope they'll come back and buy more shit. But you know, and I said, what do you make money on? And he explained, like, if somebody had like knee pain, for example, they might get like 12, 24 treatments and it's a recurring thing. And so I said, if somebody was able to run Facebook ads and get you knee pain people, would you be interested in that? And he said, all day long. And so instead of just saying like more lads, more blah, 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 you know, you can't sell more in a Loom video, but you can sell, I'll get you knee pain. And so the more you're clear about which specific types of people they're trying to get, which I call this the $100 bill. There's a spectrum of things that people in your industry sell. Some are very cheap, some are very expensive. And generally speaking, they either want to sell the really expensive stuff and or the easiest stuff to fulfill on. Like those are usually the things they want to sell the most of. And so the more you make your offer, I'll bring you those people, and you actually like tweak your service to do that. And it's just a tweak, right? Like if you got a website that you make for a chiropractor, instead of just making a random website, now it's about knee pain. That's the only fucking difference, right? Like instead of saying, you know, hey, this is Dr. So-and-so, he treats patients and he's in Syracuse. Now it says Dr. So-and-so, he treats knee pain patients and he's in Syracuse. It's like, it's a couple of pictures and a couple of tweaks, but it makes all the difference to the person on the receiving end. So tons of shit can be sold by Loom, but most people think they're selling services. They think they're selling GHL, AI solutions, um, Facebook ads, SEO, pay-per-click, web design, Google ads, shit like this. And that's not what they're buying in their mind. So when you figure out what they're buying, like the video is simply the vehicle to deliver that, but almost anything can be sold through video. We're working on $10 million boats being sold through video. That's the next adventure. If I get a white label provider, do I need to set up GHL? No, I would tell you, Paul, like get GHL when you need it. Like I think a lot of people think you need 87 tools to start. As the longer and longer I do this, the more and more I'm trying to use less and less tools, because like, every software has a shelf life. Like I'm a big fan of GHL. We use it, just so you know. So I'm like, not telling you not to get GHL, but get it when you need it. Don't get it just to get it. How much ad spend should be enough to decide if my offer in my Loom is good enough before moving to different solution in a new Loom video, like $300 in Facebook ads? I do. I just started. I do $50 to $100 in tests. Depends on a little bit on your niche, but I'll tell you what I'm looking for. Okay. So sometimes when people run ads, what they're looking for is something that doesn't really happen in the real world, which is what I call the ninja hurl, which is people click on your ad and they're like, they get their credit card out, the Visa and the MasterCard, and they just fucking throw it at you. Here you go. And what you're really looking for when you spend $50 to $100 on a Facebook ad is what the dating guys call IOIs, which stands for an indicator of interest. So for example, if I had a friend and mentor who used to go to these big clubs in San Diego, and sometimes there'd be like 1,000 people in the club. And so what he would do is he would walk around the club once and he would pay attention to all the girls that looked up and smiled at him. Like, that's obviously my flirting smile. It needs some work, but I'll just flex some more. So, but anyways, he would pay attention to the girls that smiled at him, and say like 14 girls would smile at him. Then he would go around the club a second time and he would only talk to the 14 girls who smiled at him. Right. And so obviously like the chances of him hooking up with the girls who smile at him was way higher than just some random chick in the crowd. Right. Because there's an IOI, an indicator of interest. So what I look for is when I spend $50 to $100 as a test Facebook ad, I'm looking for indicators of interest. So for example, like in the example previous, if I got a chiropractor and I say, hey, I can get you knee pain, people, I'm looking for people to raise their hand. I'm looking for people to request more info. I'm looking for people to fill out a form. What I'm not looking for is people to ninja hurl credit cards. I think it's a misnomer to think you'll spend $100 on ads or $300 on ads and you're like, ka-ching, but you'll get leads in the system. In fact, the number one complaint of agencies once they have clients is that these clients suck at following up with leads. I'm here to tell you agencies are just as bad as a general rule, because they think binary, that the lead is just supposed to jump on you. And it's more akin to a dating process. You see the girl, you smile at the club, you might like, hey, can I have your number? Especially if she's not like obscenely drunk. And then you might text her later and you might go on 3 dates. And on the 4th date, you touch her leg and, you finger her or something, right? Like it happens over time, right? It's not like an instantaneous process, right? Like it's the same thing with quote unquote seducing a prospect. So when I run a test with Facebook, $50 to $100, I can tell them $50 to $100. If they'll raise their hand and say, I'm interested, I know they'll buy it. If they won't, they won't. But that's basically what I'm looking for. Frankie, the idea of not doing cold outreach is so foreign to me that I'm feeling stuck because I don't know where to start with finding clients. Part of its guilt is for not getting, part for not grinding, and part is lack of knowledge. Those are two separate things, Ed. So let's talk the mindset piece first, because I think you got to get the between the ears right. Okay. So anybody I've ever met who starts an agency, with the exception of one guy in history, we all grew up with poor and middle-class values. Poor and middle-class values, man, that shit will beat you down. I work hard for my money. You got to earn it. Badge of honor. Like I remember actually my father-in-law is one of those guys. He's a middle-class dude. He what's up, Cole? He actually built his rental house that he has right now, literally with his bare fucking hands, no machines, no tools. He built it like post World War II, brick by brick. It took him like 3.5 years. And that's a badge of honor. I work hard for it. Well, Entrepreneurship, you reward efficiency. Like back over a few hundred years ago, people used to farm 100%. You had to farm and hunt. Like if you didn't farm and hunt, you didn't eat. And then eventually, like we came to a world where supermarkets became a thing, and people still farmed in the early days of supermarkets. They farmed 50% of what they ate, and they get 50% at the market and trade and things like that. And then eventually supermarkets, almost everybody buys everything from a supermarket unless they live somewhere super rural. Um, and then now we have it like to the level where there's fast food and there's fucking Uber Eats. Like I just took the family to Guadalajara right after all the fucking madness. And most of like our meals, like I just open an app, I click a few buttons. It was like so fucking cheap. It was like 10, $15 to feed a family of 5. I click a few buttons, I wait 20 minutes. There's a motorcycle guy at my door with food, right? So we're in the age of Uber Eats. Do you really want to go back and farm? So entrepreneurship, you have to be okay with I get paid for results I create for people and problems I solve for people, and not for how long it took me to get to that point. And sometimes, by the way, the first like version of your solution actually does take a lot of work. It's when you reuse it, the second and the third and the fourth time that you actually get the leap of efficiency. But it's irrespective. And my favorite example is, and I won't go too deep into it, but friend of a friend, Stephen Fairley, sorry, he's not a friend of a friend. He's a friend of mine, but he was driving through the state of Arizona. He saw a lawyer billboard that had 4 words on it. He called the guy and said, I can say it better with 2 words and make you more sales. And the guy said, what do you want for it? And he said, 50 grand. He said, try it for 2 months. If it works better, then pay me 50 grand. If it doesn't, like, I'll help you put it back the old way. The guy used it. It worked better. He paid him $50,000 for 2 fucking words, right? What's more efficient than that? So the mental side of it is, get rid of the idea that you have to be grinding. I used to, I dealt with a lot of the same thing. My ex was a teacher. She would go to school. I felt like I had to be busy because she was at school working. I should be working. And I just invented busy work for myself. So I don't recommend you do that. Second thing is outreach for clients. Let's talk the tactical side of that. Okay. Outreach is the predominantly taught strategy in our space for the simple reason it's easy to understand and it's free. Okay. But there is more to marketing than outreach. Your doctor does not do any outreach. Like your surgeon doesn't knock on your door and be like, hey, you want some heart surgery today? Are you interested in some heart surgery? And yet people go for heart surgery all day long. And there is a marketing system in place. So I'm here to tell you there's 6, 7 different ways you can grow an agency. I'll include the 7th one, even though I don't particularly like it. So one-to-one outreach is a part of that, but like cold calling is also one-to-one. And so is LinkedIn DMs and emails. All of that is one-to-one. There is content. You guys are fucking looking at content. Like the best long-term strategy, just, all the bigger players in every industry, they're all content creators. That's not a coincidence. Problem with content is it takes a period of time to build momentum, and most people don't have patience for that, right? Like if you're going to make 5 podcasts, don't bother, because it's like you won't get any traction. But if you're willing to make 50 or 100 of them, like it'll be the best source of leads you've ever created. Paid ads, especially if you guys are telling clients they should run paid ads. Like I'm a believer you should be running your own paid ads. There is also like referral partners. Like getting people to send you business. That's how the heart surgeon gets his business. He has referral partners, usually general practice surgeons. There is networking. You go face to face and you shake their hand and you actually add value to their lives. The 6th is what I call shoe stores, which is people who have audiences in the spaces. You publish stuff in their audience. They come to you. Like for me, when I used to speak on stage, you walk off stage, there's 5, 10, 15 clients who want to work with you, right? I didn't knock on anyone's door. I didn't send any cold DMs. I just went on stage. And by the way, if you're going to send a cold DM, I think it's a better deal to send a cold DM to the person who owns the audience. Like the conference owner is a better cold DM, or the guy who owns the podcast that everybody in your space listens to. I think that's a better use. And then the 7th one is like job bidding sites. So, freelance or Upwork, Fiverr, shit like that. Legit is another one. I'm not a big fan of using those places, but they do work. They do get clients, but you don't have to do outreach. I would say find the one that fits your personality style and like double down on that. What's your process for deciding how much to mark up white label services? Honestly, it's not that sophisticated. I usually do 2 to 2.5 times. So like if they're going to charge me $1,000 for a website, I probably would charge 2,500, like 2,000 to 2,500. If they got $1,000 a month thing, then I would charge 2,000 to 2,500. That's it. That's really it. I wish I had a better answer for you. Should I have SOPs in place before starting with a white label partner? No, that whole point of a white label partner is you don't need SOPs. They have their own SOPs, which is why you work with them. Cole says it's been testing my patience, which was already short as fuck. Yeah, it's not the only thing in your world that's short as fuck. My tag team partner. Micah says, on that note of content, what are the biggest problems you face? Ideas, scripting, managing editors, designers. I'm curious if fully done for you content system would be helpful if there's something specific. Honestly, I don't really have struggles with content, to be honest with you. And just like once a month, I got to do it. I think the biggest thing most people struggle with content, though, like not speaking for me personally, but people who do it, is there is a huge difference between content and content that sells. And most people don't know how to do the latter. And they confuse the two. Like I see people all the time. Like, so, since I got into deal making, like I've gotten like control of YouTube channels where people have like 3 million fucking subscribers. And you would assume if somebody has 3 million subscribers, that they're like billionaires. And I've met people that are broke that got 3 million followers. They don't even have the ads turned on in their thing. They have shit tons of content and it's working, but they don't have content that sells anything. And so they're broke from it. I think that's the thing people struggle with the most. I have my own frameworks for that, but I think too many people assume the point of content is to get internet rich and famous and people will just throw sponsorships at you. And I'm a much bigger believer, like, fuck that shit. Go sell something and make some money. In fact, I actually remember I had a video where it was on this channel when I first started. It had 6 fucking views. 6 people. One of them gave me $5,000. So do you judge that as a failure because it has 6 views? Or do you judge that as a success because I made more than, $800 per viewer, or whatever the math works out on? So to me, like, that's the point of the content. Is I think people struggle with that the most. Is there any resources you recommend for overcoming this work hard for my money mindset? How do we get over this? Or is it just time in the game to get over it? I'll tell you, like, just me personally, the thing that helped me is just being around other fucking rich people doing it. It's like the more you are around how they think, how they believe, and blah, 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 you just absorb it. Like, you just absorb it, like being around it. And so I don't know. I make it a point to, like, part of the reason I have a community, just so you guys know, is for my own sanity, not for, because I can sell shit or whatever. That's also true. But part of it is, like, I don't want to be around normies that, like, because back in the day, like, I used to, I made $30 an hour working for Ford. If I wanted to make $30, I worked an hour. If I wanted to make $60, I worked 2 hours. It's a very linear, straight line. And so everybody in that that world thought, if I want to make more money, I better work more overtime hours. That was like the only way to make more money. And then when I started hanging around people who didn't think like that, they would be like, like Sam Carlson's a bro of mine. Sam will just, like, be sitting with his whiteboard. He'll call me up and be like, Frankie, I'm scheming up this thing and we're going to put together this event. And I'm going to make $100,000 and I'm going to finance my trip to Hawaii and go to take my kids to Disneyland. How do we do this? That's how he thinks, right? So, like, how can I not absorb that? Could faceless content work for home services contract? For sure. Faceless content can work in any industry. I do think there is an added layer of trust if you are willing to put your face to it. But having said that, I don't think it is a requirement. I think it helps, but again, not a requirement. At the end of the day, they just want their own selfish needs. So you have to figure out what home contractors want, and the specific ones you work with, that's all they care about is themselves. And then they're never going to care about you. So that's the, no, so I actually don't even go live on Tuesdays. It was just last week was a vacation week, and I thought I would. I actually screwed up the schedule. I thought we were flying back today, and I was planning on doing our weekly Q&A. Usually, I do it at 10 o'clock my time on Mondays, give or take 10 minutes, depending on my kids and sorting them. It's not an exact science. I know it would be easier if it was on a schedule. I'm sorry, guys, but I got kids, and, like, I haven't had a schedule for like 20 years, so, like, it's hard to box me into a schedule, and I don't really have one. I wake up we chill out in the morning. We had some breakfast, and then Ilka messaged me and was like, okay, we're going to take the kids to the beach. I'm like, cool, I'll do my live. That's my schedule, just so you know. Like, but there is no like, oh, it's 10 o'clock. Exactly. I must do this. Would you run ads for your water restoration clients if you continued? Would the white label partner do them for you? I had my white label partner do them for us. We did ads in SEO basically for them and aimed it at the keywords. What are my favorite value ads for starting shoe store relationships? The simplest one, which is interview them. So I actually did this when I was in the legal space. There's a lawyer. Some of you guys will know him if you're in the southeastern United States. His name is John Morgan, Morgan & Morgan. He's the biggest personal injury lawyer on earth. They do almost $1 billion a year. They're like fucking huge. If you're in like Orlando, especially, which is their area, or really anywhere southeastern United States, they're on every TV commercial. They're on every bus stop ad, billboard, radio spot. You can't miss them. Well, I was brand new in the legal space. Like literally, I didn't even know an attorney. I didn't have a friend who went to law school. I never hired an attorney. And I actually called the front desk in his office and I said, hey, I love what you guys are building at Morgan & Morgan. I would love to interview John for about 15 minutes and just share some of the cool insights he has about building his law practice. Do you think we could carve out 15 minutes for that? Now, in my head, I thought they were going to say, well, what's your following? How long you've been doing this? You know, all those kind of questions. And the answer to all of that was zero. I had 0 shows, 0 following, like zeros across the board, right? How many attorneys do you know? 0. He's the first one. And here I am outreaching to the biggest guy in the space. And they said, how's July 17th at 2 p.m. or August 2nd at 4 p.m.? And I had nothing else going on. So it's like the earlier one, the one that's quicker, the one that'll arrive sooner. Let's do that one. And I got rescheduled a few times, but I interviewed the biggest lawyer on earth, which you can still find on YouTube, although it's on an old channel that I haven't used in a long time. But anyways, I learned because, I had a friend, we started a magazine together and I wanted to expand the reach, get like athletes and celebrities. And I was always pretty amazed that if you just called them and said, hey, I think you're cool as shit and I want to interview you for like 10 minutes, that they would accommodate. And I realized they were doing it for their own self-interest because they know publicity matters. There's an ego part of it because, somebody telling you you're awesome and you're amazing and they want to interview you and your opinion is so important to them. But that's my favorite foot in the door of shoe stores. It's just, I think you're amazing. I want to interview. And mind you, that's step one of a series of steps. Just like, if I ask a girl for her number, that ain't the end of the journey. We're going to get married in the end and have some babies and live together. But step one is just, can I have your number? Right. So that's kind of how I approach that. In the 15.6 from 0 to 90-day challenge, were those clients paying a retainer or performance-based? They were all retainer-based, Paul. 10 a.m. most Mondays in what time zone? I'm actually not sure because I spend half of the year in Mountain Time and half of the year in Pacific because Mexico doesn't do daylight savings. I believe we're on Pacific now. I think you guys just all switched. I'm honestly not sure. If you don't have any problems with content, I guess I'm asking what you would find as most valuable and which things would never want to delegate, which would you want help with? To me, like nobody ever offers this, Micah, but I don't give a fuck about vanity metrics and content like likes and thumbnails. And I get pitched thumbnails like 100 fucking times a week, every week. I get pitched, we'll make more shorts out of your stuff. What I would want is somebody to go through most popular videos and help monetize those. And to me, you can do that with like pinning comments and stuff for sale. Like every business owner wants sales. They don't want fucking likes and shares and more videos. So anybody who came to me and was like, hey, I got some idea to make you some money, that's going to land way harder than, we'll get you more views. Great. Right. So I don't know. That's how I see that. Let me just go real quick to the next question I got on the list. Lachlan says, hey guys, I'm wanting to know if anyone has had experience in hiring a local SEO delivery team and custom service managers. Where do you tend to find the best candidates? So I've learned to find great candidates a lot of places, just so you know. What I've learned is the biggest secret to getting good candidates is your hiring process. And most businesses, this is their hiring process. Give us a resume and cover letter. We'll call you, we'll do an interview, we'll ask you a bunch of stupid questions, maybe ask for some references. And those references are of course, are people who are going to say good shit about you. You know, your friend, your uncle, your former boss who really liked you. You're never going to give somebody a reference that sucks. And you don't learn anything about people. And what I've learned is if you want to have good candidates, trial assignments. I watch like pretty much everything Gordon Ramsay's ever done. I'm a Gordon Ramsay junkie. And Gordon, he he has a show called Hell's Kitchen, which is probably the one he's most known for. It's probably actually my least favorite. He does all the yelling and screaming on that one, but it's a hiring competition, right? Like he puts people through tests. Like if you want a chef to be able to make their own food, he makes them make their own food. If you want a chef who can taste things, he tests them on tasting things. If you want a chef who can run a dinner service, he gives them a chance to run a dinner service. So similarly, if you want to hire a video editor, make them edit some videos. If you want to hire an account manager, give them a real life scenario where they'd have to handle an account. You don't have to actually send it to the real client, but see what they would do in response. Like test people on the thing they're going to do. If you do that, you're going to end up with good candidates, like more often than not. I used to, when I did everything else everybody else said to do, my batting averages with finding good employees were like 1 out of 20. Now my batting averages are like 8 out of 10. I'm still not perfect. I still like make some bad hires and I still have to fire people. But like, man, if I hire 10 people, I expect 8 of them to still be working for me a year later. Mohammed says, I saw your video about 5-minute Loom videos. Will it work in my medical education service business? I'm dealing with doctors and medical students. Yes. There's very few industries we haven't been able to crack doing that. There's some that are harder than others. You're actually in one of the easier ones because they're busy and they have schedules and they have a lot of shit going on and they have paperwork. And so just send me the info and I'll look at it on the shitter when I can is a better proposition than give me an hour of your time that they don't have to begin with. But just so you guys know, like it's not just agency services. Like I've sold houses through video. I've sold a single car. We've sold events. We have sold retreats. We have sold investment funds. Probably forgetting a few things just off the top of my head, but like there's very few things that can't be sold with video. The magic of a video just, is understanding how to really make offers that connect with your audience. It's not the video itself. Is it we're figuring out what they really want, then we're putting it in a video, then we're demonstrating that visually, and we're answering the questions they most want to know, including how much is the shit? How much is it? That's like 50% of your sales calls are just them wondering, how much is your shit anyway? Yeah. Hey, Frankie, loaded AI. By the way, that's an AI song I created for myself. I actually put it on the channel just so you guys know, because I was at an event and they said, everybody at all the speakers, you get your own, like you get to choose your stage music, you walk out. And I was like, oh, I don't really have stage music. And then I used my AI tools and I created a song about me. And then I fucking loved it. And then they said, oh, you're on a panel with 4 other people where you guys are like kind of collectively being interviewed for 2 hours. And then they didn't have me or they didn't use my music. And I was like, fuck that. I'm going to put it on my own channel because it's awesome. Should we build a relationship with business owners to warm them up first? Or should we use your 5-minute Loom method and send a cold DM? I think both. I've mentioned this before, but I tend to repeat this a lot, but I always take so when it comes to 5-minute videos, I've realistically taught a few hundred people to be able to close in video, just so you guys know. So I consider that my big success is not Frankie Finn can close on video, but like how many of you guys are actually like successfully doing it, which is way more exciting to me than like I'm just a one-off, stars aligned, right? But that other people are like, holy shit, I did it and it worked. And like close somebody in my pajamas. No fucking way. Holy shit, I just got $2,000. Holy shit, I just got $10,000. Like that to me is way cooler. I always personally, so having said that, people use Loom videos a lot of different ways to close people. And you can like ram it in there dry, no foreplay, go, here's my 5-minute video, buy my shit. And it does work. But I think if you really want to maximize conversions, like if your goal is to get married, then going on some dates and meeting your family is a proven process, right? Like you're going to want to repeat that. So I always take people through 4 buckets. I get them to raise their hand, say I'm interested. I pre-sell them the plan, which is I show them, in essence, my service as an idea form. And I go, you could do this on your own if you want. Here's how you could do it. Then I say, would you like my help implementing it? Here's a video that walks you through the implementation. And the Loom video is the implementation piece. And then the fourth piece is the follow-up. What happens if they don't jump out of their chair and automatically buy it? We still want to get those people who are interested. And those are the 4 buckets I take people through continuously. So like if I was sending a cold DM in your case, it would be a hand raiser. It would say something like, if I was talking to a dentist, I'd be like, hey, I got an idea to get you some braces patients. Can I share it with you? And if they raise their hand, I know he's interested in braces. Then I would give him the idea. I would say, hey, let me show you exactly where you could get braces patients. Right here on Google, you're number 4 for braces. And if you just moved up 3 more spots, you get a shit ton more phone calls. And you need about 10, 20 reviews. And then I say, if you want, I can give you a quote for my help. That's where the Loom video comes in, step 3. And then step 4 is if he doesn't buy it, then I would have follow-up showing him, let me show you some more you can do with this braces thing. That's it. That's my process to sell anything, by the way. What are your thoughts on producing or productizing mini sites from a PPC SEO perspective? Does the separation from a client's main site actually produce decent results? It can. It's trickier than it used to be. I'll tell you why. I used to sell a lot of mini sites, but there was the difference was sites used to rank above like Google business profiles, and now it's the other way around. Profiles and ads are first. So you can still get traffic to those mini sites, especially for my favorite way of doing that now is owning all the suburbs and owning all the niche services. So like, for example, like let's say you got a plastic surgeon, right? And he's in Chicago. Well, ranking plastic surgeon in Chicago is going to be probably difficult to do, but there's tons of like plastic surgery, Evansdale and, Owings Mills and all those like kind of just like little areas. Obviously, I'm not in Chicago, so I'm just making up names of places. But like all of those, and then I could combine that with services like Nose Job, Owings Mills, for example, like that. And then I make like hundreds of little pages that are just content pages, and they each get a little trickle of traffic. But if you got like a few hundred of those, they can definitely work. How do you get contracts signed with your clients? Is it over Loom? I'm gonna give you a bad answer to that, Paul. Is I actually haven't used contracts for a lot of my stuff. I understand the reasoning and logic for a lot of people. Ironically, by the way, I've worked with like 500 different lawyers, and not one ever asked me for a contract. You'd be amazed. When it would come up, part of the reason is I'm in a foreign country anyway. So like, I'm like, you can't sue me. You're not gonna be able to get to me. So I'm like, why don't we just keep it real simple? As long as you keep liking the service, I'll keep doing it for you and you keep paying me. That's my contract right there. But I'm not saying that's what you should do. That's not legal advice. I'm just telling you what I've done. What do you anticipate will be a profitable niche when the world is taken over by T1000s? I think it's just shifting, just so you know. So I see the same thing happening. Like this is a market cycle that's happening. So Dave is in our mastermind, and Dave has been a software engineer for 30 years. He said when he first came out, like when he first got into software, there were all these people, he called it the arms race, trying to get tools built before anyone else. So like CRMs, you guys think of like Salesforce and HubSpot. And I know a lot of you guys use GHL now, but in the early days, there weren't that many of them, like Salesforce, HubSpot. There might've been a few others, but anyways, Dave was around when there was a race to get that built. He said, if you were the first to make it, it was like an automatic, like $1 billion in the bank because, you got the first software to do X. He said, then eventually fast forward 5 or 10 years, and now there's like 30 CRMs. And so everybody starts asking the question. He said, nobody asked him to make software anymore. He said they brought him in to consult. They said, which software do we use? Can you train my staff on it? Can you show us how to use it? Can you help us set it up? What's the most cost-effective way to do blank? We're trying to do this. So you're going to see the same sort of arms race with the T1000s. Is that so? All these fucking AI tools, and there's a race, and then what'll happen is just like phone services, like the prices of those things will go dramatically down. Like we have tools right now, like where we can build a website in 2 minutes, Nobody's going to pay you for $10,000 for a website when the plumber figures out he can do that in 2 minutes. But you know what he's going to do? He's going to say there's 75 tools and I'm overwhelmed. Which one do I pick? Blah, blah, blah. So I just see agency services shifting more to like a strategic role. And as long as you know how to do that, like you don't need to lose any sleep over it. Till now, I was doing one-on-one sessions with all the leads that wasting most of my time. Now I'm thinking making a 5-minute video and start sensing it. Thank you so much. You are the growth for sure, Mohammed. That's the whole point of it is video. You can be having 27 conversations at once. Real you is limited to one. And by the way, I learned this in business. I had a mentor who said to me, if you want to look at how much money you're making, look at how many offers you're making. And I looked at it. It was like one of the most easily correlated things in the world. Make more offers, make more money. Make bigger offers, make more money. And the issue is when I was doing sales calls, I could make exactly one offer per hour, exactly one. And when I started doing video, I could make hundreds of them. In fact, I actually remember we were running some ads for some shit back in the day. This was like a lower ticket thing, not like a high ticket agency service, but nonetheless, same kind of principles. And I was getting 10 sales a minute at its peak. 10 a minute, right? Again, it's like a lower ticket thing. So it's like, it wasn't like billions of dollars, but nonetheless, it's like, I wouldn't be able to make 10 sales pitches at a time per minute. So that's the magic of it, is when you digitize it. I always say, like, you want the hardest working person in your company to be digital you, not real you. Real you should be fucking lazy to a certain extent anyways. Do you think I can close my first clients with Loom videos, or I do need to hop on a call? Usually, just being real with you, I like to send them a video and they'll still be hey, let's hop on a call to finalize it. But that's a very different call, just so you know, than the convince me that I should do this. I just say, hey, I'm happy to jump on a call with you, but I know you're busy. Let me just send you the details. And I send them the details. And then I say, like, should we still talk? And if they still want to talk, like, take that call, because it's going to be 5-6 minutes long, and they're just going to like, I got a question or two. But I would never take a call if somebody didn't already know the price and what they get and those kind of things. But what you're looking for is you're trying to figure out where they object to your video, because you don't want to automate it before it works. So that's why I'm jumping on calls in the early stages, and why I recommend you probably should too. But once you know where they say no, where one person says no is usually where they all say no, and then you just tweak your video. And then you just get used to people buying it. Like, that's it. But I think you probably will have to hop on a call. But there's a huge difference between a 5-minute, hey, I got a question call, versus an hour long, like, all right, tell me what this is all about, Mr. Big Boy. You don't want to do those. I want to start running ads for coaches, but I'm worried that no leads will be made. My question is, who will pay for the ads and how to deal with the money that was lost in the ads? I'm going to tell you something that will save you a lot of time. Is when people think about their niche in general, they think really anybody in the niche is a fit. So like you're talking about coaches, like, and if you're like most people and you're thinking about coaches, I want to work with coaches. That means if I meet 100 coaches, 100 of them are potential clients. And I'm here to tell you, it's more like 10 to 20 out of 100 are actually like good fits. And they generally meet 3 criteria. They're the ones who already spend a lot of money on ads. They are the ones who have a team in place, and they have a good attitude to work with you, right? Like, the personality can be a deal breaker, even if the other 2 things are in place. So to me, if you're going to work with a coach, like, talk to the coaches who are already spending money on ads. Don't talk to the coaches who aren't. And I'll tell you, one of my biggest cheat codes, if you want to make a valuable service, is find somebody who's already running ads, which you can do in like the Facebook ad library. Take the shit that's working for them and simply bring it to a new platform. So we got a guy in our mastermind. You can do the exact same thing, by the way. He also works with coaches, and he's got all fulfillment problem, but he takes coaches who are running Facebook ads that work, and he clones their funnel over to YouTube ads. That's it. They already have a working offer. They already have a working sales team. They're used to spending money on ads. They got a team. They know how to help people. He just takes their thing and moves it over. I call it new media. And if I was going to run ads for coaches, that's what I would do. It's new media. I wouldn't try and like take some coach who's never ran ads and never been successful and doesn't have a working offer and try and be the hero and then get into an argument about why we ran ads and didn't work. I would take a fucking proven horse, an ad, an offer, a team, a sales process, a team, all that shit that's already working. I'd go, hey, if we took this thing that's working and moved it over here, I bet you it would work over here too. And they go, that's genius, with a capital J, as Frank Kern would say. So that's what I would do with that. Sup, Frankie? How would you sell website to beauty plastic doctors? Still LinkedIn content connections and send them the 5-minute videos. I have an awesome portfolio of testimonials with the Handraiser Posts. Well, before I would do anything is I would figure out what are they trying to sell through a website. So when you say beauty plastic doctors, I'm assuming you mean like plastic surgeons. And I'll give you, for example, plastic surgeons have told me they really want to sell nose jobs. They really want to sell mommy makeover procedures. Some of them, one guy told me he wanted to be the Brazilian butt doctor. Can you believe that? I like big butts and I cannot lie. The guy wanted to be the butt doctor. So you're not selling websites is the point of it. If you go to somebody and say, hey, are you interested in a website? Like there's not a single beauty plastic doctor that woke up with that in mind. But there's plenty of doctors who said, I want to sell butts. So if you say, hey, like I got an idea to sell you some butts, you'll get actually a lot farther than you say, I got an idea for a website. It sounds like a small detail, but it's a huge fucking detail in their world. Another example, they used to tell us they really like selling cool sculpting, because cool sculpting is something that the doctor doesn't have to personally fulfill on. It's a machine and the staff can do it. And the people, it's like $100 a session or something like that. And then people get like 20, 30 sessions. So they make like $3,000 and the doctor don't have to do shit. They loved cool sculpting. So I wouldn't go to them and say like, hey, I'm going to sell you a website. I'd say, hey, are you interested in getting some cool sculpting patients? Because I got an idea for you to pimp those cool sculpting patients. So you have to figure out what they want. What are they actually trying to sell through the website? In other words, what is the outcome of the website? That's how you connect with them. And then if you do that, the tactics of it, whether you do it on LinkedIn, face-to-face, ads, all of that will work better. And of course, you can sell it through a 5-minute video. Does the white labeled provider also act as a client success manager? Some of them do, some of them don't. So, like interview them a little bit, see who you want to work with. When will the Wolfpack be back open? Basically when I'm at capacity, but when I'm not at capacity. I'm planning on it over the next few weeks. Genius with a J. Yeah, that's totally a Frank Kern thing. Hey, Frankie, I reached 35 people first. They replay asking for details, then they ghosted. I'm confused how to respond to their first response. I mean, just send Loom or something else. They reply asking for details. So I'm actually doing a training for our mastermind folks on follow-up, because I think more deals are won and lost in follow-up than any other place. And what most people don't realize is that every time you do a follow-up, you have to remind the person of the thing they want and then show them additional detail about how that's possible for them. So somebody mentioned earlier that they were on LinkedIn. They were trying to sell beauty plastic doctors and they were trying to sell websites. And I mentioned cool sculpting, right? So if I was doing follow-up, it wouldn't be what most people do, by the way, when they do follow-up, because they send them to me and they go, why isn't the person replying? They go, did you see my last message? Did you see it? Did you see it? How about now? Did you see my proposal? Do you want to get started? Do you want to get started? Did you see it? Did you see it? How about now? How many times can you do that before you're obnoxious? Not a lot, right? Like once, twice. And they by the way, I've never seen that work in the history of 20 years of doing this. So what I do is I go, hey, dude, I know you're interested in cool sculpting because, it's something you can sit in your office and collect $100 an hour while your staff does all the work. I made a little mock-up of what a website for you might look like, or I made a little picture of a header, whatever, right? But I'm always reminding them of the thing they want. In this case, cool sculpting, right? So you have to know what they want. Like I can't stress that detail enough. You have to know what your client actually wants to be able to sell, follow up, move the needle. Otherwise, you're just going to get ghosted again and again and again. And to me, every conversation is about that. So like if I was doing my 4 buckets that I've talked about, like if I was on LinkedIn, I'd say, hey, doc, I got an idea for you to get cool sculpting patients. And then I would show them how to go get cool sculpting, like build a website that does this, blah, blah, blah. Here's how you position the cool sculpting. Here's how you create the offer. Here's how you put the form. Here's where you put your social proof. You do all that. People will look at that website and they'll call you about cool sculpting. If you want, I can just do that for you. I'll send you a little video with the details. Let me know if you want to see that. Sure. Then I send them the details. And then I go deeper on the, hey, this is what the website would look like for you to sell cool sculpting. That's it. Like that's the process I move people through. Thank you. I'm actually from Brazil, so that helps a lot. Nice. Some Brazilian butt lifts in here. What do I send them? Professional tips or some details they're missing in their GBP or in their website, but they still don't respond. Yeah, because they don't like the number. So I don't know what your niche is, but the number of people who woke up like let's say your niche is plumbers. I know it's probably not, but you know how many plumbers today woke up thinking about their Google business profile or professional tips? It's fucking zero. So you have to know what they want, right? Like we got a guy in the mastermind who works with plumbers, and one day a plumber said to him, he said, "I don't really like emergency phone calls." And he said, "Why not?" He said, "Well, I literally get covered in shit. Like people call me when the toilet's overflowing with shit. Like my whole day is just dealing with turds, and it's disgusting." And he said, "Is there any way you can get me new construction?" And Mike went on like Google keyword tool, and he's like, "Yeah, we just bid on these keywords. They're all related to new construction." So they ran some Google ads, just simple LSA ads, and he got calls related to new construction. The guy loves it, right? So I wouldn't be sending him general business tips in your business profile. I'd be going, hey, the outcome that he wants is like new construction. Hey, are you interested in getting new construction? Let me show you how you can get new construction. And then all my follow-ups are about new construction, and even when I show him how to fix his GBP, I'm reminding him of the thing he wants. Hey, you want to get new construction, right? Well, we got to optimize your GBP for new construction, right? Like I'm reminding him constantly of the thing he wants, which is why the offer becomes seductive, because he already wants the thing. My kids just got home, so the screaming may come up. Frankie, I'm in the middle of signing up my first client, just finishing the onboarding part. I literally made an ad on advertising Facebook ads, managed so far 14 leads with 120 euros spent. There you go, Micah. Nice work. What do I think about free audits or interviews disguised as sales calls where you give them value and ask them questions but pitch in the second half? I don't personally like that. I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me. But having said that, I just think as long as you're upfront about that's what it is. Like I'm cool with it if it's transparent. But if it's kind of a bait and switch, like I'm not a big fan of bait and switch. Here's another big thing. It's always on my head. I do crazy, sexy websites that convert a lot, but also have an AI agent for plastic surgery niches working, also social media, and also XYZ. So in my head, I really don't know what I should sell first. Well, there's a common thread that ties those together, which is they're all moving towards a certain type of patient. What your client wants is that certain type of patient. So you can do all of that. You can have a complex solution. That's fine, where it includes a website, includes an AI agent, includes some social media, but it has to be directed towards an end. Like I'm going to get you cool sculpting people. It sounds really simple, but most agencies can't tell me what their clients want. They can tell me what they do: social media, SEO, websites, GHL, AI voice solutions, et cetera. But what they can't do is go, my client actually wants cool sculpting. So that's what you got to do. And you should sell all the ones that contribute to that outcome that you can realistically fulfill on. You can start small, you can start big. It's like there's no have tos. So one of the hardest parts of all of this is that it's not like a job where there's a have to. Nobody comes in and says, this is what you do from 9 till 5. And then you go home at 5 o'clock. It's like if you want to sell a 5-part solution, you can. If you want to sell a 1-part solution, you can. I missed your chat. Kindly read. What did I miss? Quick question. Do you think it's better to run Facebook ads that send people to WhatsApp so I can send them the video directly, or send them to a website where they can watch the video first? It depends where you're at in the process. Okay. So I have a simple formula. By the way, in the beginning, so I consider these two very different scenarios. Scenario number one is it's a new offer and I don't know if it's going to work. Scenario two is it's an existing offer. It works. Okay. If it's a new offer and I don't know if it works, I lean hard into conversations because I want to troubleshoot why they're saying no. And a lot of people assume that means jumping on the phone. It does not. Most of my troubleshooting is over text, over WhatsApp, over Messenger, over email. I'm talking to them, but I'm not like jumping on calls to ask them questions and shit like that. But nonetheless, I want to figure out why they're saying no. Okay. Scenario 2 is it's a proven offer and I already know it works. Then I want to automate as much shit as possible and talk to as little people as possible. I just want people to buy it. I'll talk to you after you bought it. That's my attitude in scenario 2. We'll talk after you sent the money. So in scenario 2, like I would send them straight to a website. If that's where you're at with it, send them straight to a website. Don't talk. If you're trying to figure it out, it's way better to get them on WhatsApp and send them a video, because then if they don't buy it, you can say, hey, I was thinking about that cool sculpting thing. Like, what did you think? You know, why wouldn't you buy it? You know, other than the money, is there anything else that stop you from buying it? Your niche is junk removal. So I understand what you said. Always send follow-up what outcomes they want. Yeah, totally. Junk removal. Could you tell me how many follow with outcomes they want that we should send after, and we can leave and move on? I have 3 possible outcomes. So just so you know, my follow-up is significantly longer than most people's. 3 scenarios. Scenario 1, buy. Scenario 2, die. Scenario 3, unsubscribe. That's it. So my follow-up never ends. You either it ends if you bought or you die or told me to fuck off. But I can't tell you the number of times where I've had deals that I thought were sure deals that came back later. I'll give you an example. Actually, in the 90-day challenge, since a few of you guys asked me that, I had a conversation just over text with a guy. I sent him a video, and based on all his responses, it was like green light, green light, green light. I thought we were going to work together, and then he ghosted me and never responded. I didn't take any of it personally because I've learned it's not personal after this, and I just kept sending him shit in the mail. Like once a month, I would send a letter in the mail and just update him. A year later, like long after I stopped doing the challenge, he messaged me and says, okay, I'm ready to go. And I was like, okay, that's cool, but like, what happened? And he said, well, I was waiting on a really big insurance check, and I knew I was going to invest a bunch of money in marketing as soon as I got it, and I knew you were the guy, but there was no point in talking until I had the money in hand. And he said, so I didn't want to waste your time, and I didn't, want to do any of those things. But he's like, the check just cleared today, so let's do it. Oh, okay. And if I had not done follow-up, I'm sure he would have found his way to some other pastor and someone else. So a lot of times we assume like the reason they're saying no is because it means I never want it forever and ever till the end of time. And I've learned there's so many life restrictions that that there's a reason why they don't move forward now, but they will later. So I don't know, like personally, my follow-up game's endless. So frankly, in order to get my first hair transplant surgeon client, I should do cold emails and ask if they want better quality patients first, then send, no, you should figure out what kind of patients they want. And if you guys like, I mentioned this before, but because if you just say, do you want better quality? That's like, that sounds vague and unspecific, and it doesn't sound like you actually know me, right? You need to be like, I know you want arthroscopic knee surgeon patients or whatever, whatever, but I just copied and pasted into the chat my market research bot. It'll do all that work for you. So start there. Because to me, if you start messaging people without knowing what they want, it's a waste of time. I actually like give you a real life example of this. Not in selling stuff, but just, like dating analogy. But Ilga's friend, he had met his dream girl playing tennis, and they connected really hard. And then he went home and he was trying to get a date with her, and she was like a really pretty girl. And they're actually married with 2 kids now, but she wouldn't return his messages, like just completely ghosted him. It'd been like a week, and he's like, man, I thought it was so perfect. We're going to be together. And I said, tell me about her. And I started asking, in other words, the same kind of like, what did she want? And he told me how much she liked tennis. He told me her favorite chocolate was a European chocolate called Milka. For those of you guys who are in Europe, you know Milka. But for those of you guys who are not, you've probably never heard of it. And we were standing in the grocery store at the time, and we were in the chocolate aisle, and I was like, take a picture of that Milka right there. And he had done these like clingy, like, do you want to hang out? Do you maybe want to get together sometime? Like kind of vague sort of follow-ups. He took a picture of the Milka, and and there was some tennis thing going on. I don't remember what the tennis deal was, but I don't think it was Wimbledon, the big one, but it was, like one of the Grand Slams or whatever. And let's call it the Australian Open. So he texts her like, hey, I got your favorite chocolate in the Australians Opens tonight or tomorrow or whatever the hell it was. You coming over? She responded in 2 seconds. So if you don't know that she likes chocolate and tennis, like don't message her, because it ain't gonna fucking work. So to me, like too many people, I applaud you guys for your effort and you're putting yourselves out there, but like too many people are quick to jump in without actually first doing the market research to figure out what your market wants, which is why I built that bot, because it'll do that for you. The biggest complaint hair surgeons have is competing with Turkey, who offers hair transplants at a fifth of the cost. The surgeries cost less because they're being performed by techs and not the surgeon. Yeah, I mean that alone is a thing to message them about. Hey, do you want to see how to keep the domestic patients who would rather pay more and not go to Turkey for a fifth of the cost? If like that's really happening in your market, you need to bring that shit up. A lot of it, if that's what's really happening, that's what connects with them because that's what's on their mind. What's not on their mind, by the way, is a website, SEO, pay-per-click. What's on their mind is like, shit, half my patients are going to Turkey to get this for 20% of the cost. So you hit on that. You bring that up. So I think it's a big market inefficiency. Local hair surgeons are not pre-educating well enough. Yeah, exactly. You know what the real problem is. They don't. Hey, Paul says, hey, Frankie, I asked some questions on the Facebook group. Should I wait for you to answer them? You can ask them here? Either or. It's all good. As we share a common niche, my first two were free for testimonials and video. They agree, and we're partners to this day. Then I use those testimonials to get more. Yeah, I mean, that's a proven strategy. Just, it's like, hey, I want to get you as a client. Usually, by the way, when I do the, hey, I'll do it for free, but I want a testimonial from you, I make sure to pick somebody who's high profile and known in the industry. That'll do it even further. Like kind of like the digital equivalent of like, hey, Alex Hermosi, I'm going to do some cool shit for you, or I'm going to do some cool shit for you, but I want a testimonial out of it. In most niches, there's people who have that kind of influence over their audience, but they're not like famous and hard to reach, like internet marketers get kind of famous. Do you have notifications when you're going live or a certain each week when you go live? Yeah, it's around 10 a.m. my time Mondays, but just because this was a vacation week, it's a little bit skewed. You can turn off or you can turn on notifications. There you go. Turn on notifications. Let's see what we got next in the my saved questions from the group. Carlos says, I tried Stripe with a new client supposedly to make my life easier, and their fees are ridiculously outrageous. $100 fee for $1,500 transactions. Does anyone know a better alternative or something I did wrong? Hold on. I do have a list of payment alternatives. Honestly, though, I'm still working on the international side of it. If you're like in US, Canada, Australia, I have significantly more options for you than or if you're in the UK than if you're other places, but these are the Stripe alternatives that I have as of today. What do we see? Dude, the market research bot is awesome. It validates what I was thinking, but added a lot of useful context. Yeah. We used to do all that market research manually. It took me 4 days to figure out a market for what I do in AI in fucking 3 minutes now. Hey, Frankie, just watch a bunch of your videos. Thanks a lot for the value. Thanks for watching. Frankie, could you tell me how I can offer them my price? I'm pitching for local SEO with the right strategy. I'm a little worried about my price. I'm offering $247 or $297 or $490. I always search on Google. Just so you know, price is actually irrelevant. It's like it's the most irrelevant detail in the world, because if they think they're going to get a bigger amount of money back than what they're paying you, then the price actually matters zero. Like, for example, like the example I use with my mastermind folks is I was telling them, imagine I say to you, I have a house for sale. It is $250,000. Okay. Do you want to buy that house? Depends on the house, doesn't it? Like, it depends. Great. Like if I say to you on one hand, it's a crack shack, ladies of the night work there. It used to be a meth lab. It's full of bullet holes. There's like fentanyl zombies. It's in a rough neighborhood. You probably don't want to buy that $250,000 house. But if I say to you, hey, I'm selling my $3 million beachfront mansion. I've decided that I just had a spiritual experience and worldly possessions do not matter to me anymore. I'm selling it. I'm moving to a monastery in Thailand. I'm going to become a Buddhist monk, and I owe about $230,000 plus $20,000 in closing costs, and I need, a couple extra thousand to be able to get the flights there. So if you give me $255, it's yours right now, and you can just have it. I don't give a fuck. Like, you'll find $250,000, just so you know, right? So when you're presenting price, what most agencies miss is they go, this is the price. What you need to do is go, this is the price, and for that you'll get. And the and for that you'll get needs to be bigger than the price. It's my $250,000 house, and for that you're going to get a $3 million mansion. Yours, free and clear. So to me, like and by the way, when you present what they're going to get, it should be an outcome, not a service. Meaning like, I'll bring you 25, liposuction patients every month instead, but not, hey, we'll run ads for you. But if you do that, you'll sell a lot more shit, just, and when you do that, you can present price right on your website, because it's like the price doesn't matter. It's the thing you get for the money. That's the most important detail. Should I do cold email first and then offer a Loom explainer? I don't think there's any should, just so you know, in any of this. That's one of the hardest parts of this is like, do you want to do cold outreach to drum up some business? Then do that. A lot of it, to me, I'm personally like very adaptable, because it depends where your market is and what they do. Like, so for example, like if I was trying to reach e-commerce stores, like a lot of you guys work in e-commerce, I'd be very active on Facebook, and I would be like in Shopify communities, because that's where all the fucking e-commerce store owners. If I was working with landscapers, those are way more like work with your hands. I'd be like calling them on the phone, let me text you something. If I was working with plastic surgeons, they're more like office types. They're more active on LinkedIn. So like, I don't know, like go where your audience is and communicate in the way that's most natural to them. That's what I like to do personally. I'm not married to any one strategy. I always search on Google for price. I'm finding my first new client. I always take your live classes and show it how to create lead on mobile, alert on ChatGPT. All those things are cool. Just make sure to show them what the tool will give them, not what the tool is. They don't care about the tool, just, I second the bot. There you go. Thank you, Micah. How do I find good products to sell for an acquired audience? I feel like most things I find are either low quality, a scam, or don't fit the audience closely enough. Maybe you can tell me a little bit about what the audience is. But I do have a tool. Just so you know, a lot of times people think about this too narrowly. I'll put this into the chat. This is my distribution monetizer for what to sell your audience. But what most people do is they go look for affiliate product. Like if you get an audience, like say you get a YouTube channel or a Facebook group or an email list or something like that. This is deal making, by the way, for those of you guys who kind of like switched over a little bit. This is a little advanced topic, but you get control of an audience and then you want to go monetize and sell them things. What most people do is they get boxed into affiliate things. And what most people don't realize is anybody can be your affiliate if you just fucking ask. Or like if I went to the local restaurant and said, hey, I want to bring you people, like I want to fill your waiting room or your, whatever you call it, the area where people eat, the seating area, with people eating tonight. If I did that, would you give me a commission? I get a little commission off each person I brought you. Like in my experience, almost nobody says no to that question. If I sold your thing, would you give me a commission? Just by asking that question, like immediately you have an affiliate thing. So yeah, like there are sometimes affiliate things, but often that's just 1% of companies in your industry having an established affiliate program. You can sell literally anything, like literally anything. You just go to them. I remember actually Russ was working on one. He got this guy he's a griddle guy. So he like has a YouTube channel and he like makes hash browns and shit in his backyard and bacon and sausage and fried rice and you name it. Right. And I asked him which griddle he liked. And he said, I really like the Blackstone. Well, I went to Blackstone, the company, as nobody. And they said, hey, we got a channel about 175,000 people or whatever it was. And the guy's using Blackstone and we want to sell your stuff. Do you think there's any way you could give us a commission? Now, Blackstone does not have an affiliate program, just so you know. What do you think they said? We want to sell your shit. Can you pay us? What do you think they said? Of course, they said yes. So I always say and then the other thing is I start with products they're already buying, which is why I built that tool. I try to figure out what they're already buying. They're already buying Blackstone, so just work a deal for it. I'm starting an AI agency, but I'm confused between two things. Speed to lead for plumbing, HVAC, like Handy Guys, or selling AI voice receptionist to saloon. Which one in your experience is a fast sale? I would start with the market research and figure out what they're actually trying to do with it. Because just so you know, they don't believe they have a speed to lead problem. And also, they don't want every client. Just so you know, in a lot of those industries, what they actually want, like we got quite a few people selling AI voice receptionists. They have said things like, "I don't even want to answer my phone because I get so many spam calls, robocalls, Angie's List, people looking for a job, Google spam. Hello, sir, we can get you top Google #1 ranking, right?" So they said for every 10 calls they get, 9 of them are spam. So like they don't even want to answer their phone. So if you go in there saying like speed to lead, we'll get you more calls and blah blah blah, like you're gonna miss the mark. But if you say like, hey dude, what if you never had to talk to Angie's List and spammers and people looking for a job and the bots and all that shit, and I just let your AI voice solution sift and sort that, and we'll just schedule the homeowners who are serious about getting full installs on your calendar, like this example booking. So I always say you're not selling what you think you're selling. So like I always start with the market research bot to figure out what problems are they trying to solve, what outcomes are they trying to move towards. Then you cater your solution. If you know what they want, every solution will sell faster. It's generally an AI group in my home language. In your case, I'll probably sell tools as an affiliate, the image generators, the video solutions, the et cetera, the make your own music. Like I would become affiliates for all that shit. Yeah, you probably won't be able to get the big things, but like there's lots of little micro tools that are spin-offs of that. Like I think 11 at labs that can voice clone and shit like that. Like I would just be a tool pimp in your industry, Kat. I also have an in-person meetup with a roofer. I forgot to mention all this after 10 days of Facebook ads. I drove past a builder's van on the road the other day with their number on the side. So I just watched a video of you talking about using Loom videos for sales. Can you deep dive more into that? Are they AI videos or something else? Sorry, I thought that was all one thing. Oh, Mike, I see. Micah's question got split up by James. So I called them. They had a bad experience before, but they liked me and asked me to call back in a few weeks. Just so you know, Micah, every single business that's been around like more than 5 years has had at least one bad experience with a marketer. I call it beaten wife syndrome. It's like, imagine a girl who's been in like 10 abusive relationships in a row. Like she's going to brace herself for the hit, even if you're not planning on hitting her. So I just say that like expect that it's par for the course. Jameson says, I watched a video you talking about using Loom videos for sales. Can you deep dive more into that? Are they AI videos or something else? No, they're simple videos. So what I realized, Jameson, is if you do like thousands of sales calls, I've done thousands of sales calls, especially if you do them in the same niche. After about 2-3 dozen of them, you can practically finish their sentences. Like you don't hear anything new after like 25, 30, 40 of them. It's the same shit again and again. So, and a lot of times if you do this, it sounds like mind reading. Like I would get on calls with attorneys, like in the early days when I did calls, and they would say shit like, hey, I just need more clients. And I'd say, need more clients? Like, tell me about that. And they'd say, well, I have roller coaster income. And I'd say, roller coaster income? And they'd say, yeah, I got a couple of referral partners. They send me some business. And some months they send me 100,000 and some months they send me nothing. I don't know whether I'm going to make 100,000 next month or zero. And all I know is that, I have a business I have no control over and I hate it. Like, should I be scaling up a team to help handle the fulfillment, or should I be conserving cash just to keep the light on for the slow month? I don't know, because I have no idea how much business I'm going to get next month. And so I need something more stable. And they would all say that. It got to the point where I'd get on a call with them and they would say, hey, I just need more clients. And I'd say, hey, can I ask you, Dave, do you need more clients because you have roller coaster income? Do you have roller coaster income because you have between 3 to 6 referral partners who send you all your business? And some months they send you 100,000 and some months they send you zero. And so you don't know whether you should be scaling a team to be able to handle the fulfillment or whether you should be conserving cash to keep the light on for the slow months. And all you know is you got a business you have no control over and you hate it. Does that sound like you? And I'll tell you, I would get like 80 to 90% of the sale. One question in. They like just assume I knew. Holy shit. Like this guy knows. So what happens is when you hear the same shit over and over, and not only do you hear the same shit, but you hear the same shit in the same order. And then we eventually expanded into other niches and stuff like that. And it's the same shit. So most people just want to know, like, what is this going to do for me? They ask it all kinds of ways. How long is this going to take? Tell me about your thing. Tell me how you can help us. They say it all kinds of different ways, but they're basically saying, show me what you can do for me. And if you show them something that piques their interest, that they actually like, their mind will immediately wonder, like, I wonder if that would work for me personally, right? Like, okay, that sounds cool, but would that work in my situation? Almost unconsciously. And then they'll wonder, how does it work, right? They need a logical, like, sort of, okay, that makes sense to me. And by the way, this is where all the objections happen, is in the how does it work? Then they wonder, how much is it? And if that box, like, makes sense to them, then they wonder, how do I buy it? So a Loom video is just those 5 steps. Just me showing them something they want in a picture, because they get it faster in a picture. And it's saying it'll work for you if you meet this criteria. Then I show them how it works. That's the longest part of the video. I break it down into steps. And again, I show them in pictures. Part of the reason we can do this faster than a sales call is because people get it faster in a picture than with words. So I could say AI voice solution, but if I just show you an example fucking call, you get an AI voice solution way faster. And then we show them the price and we show them what they get, which is always a bigger value than the price. And then we tell them exactly how to buy it. Do not assume they know how to buy it from you, by the way. Some people use Stripe, some people use PayPal, some people use invoices, some people do QuickBooks, some people do ACH. Tell them exactly how to buy it. But that's all a Loom video is. It's just years and years of doing sales calls. We broke it down into the 80-20. We show them something they want. We just lay it out and they buy it. If you don't mind checking my question above, Rock, I don't see your question above. Oh, here. Would love how you position this benefit. I help home services businesses get more Google reviews so they show up higher on search and get more leads. Maybe give a quick example. Appreciate the help. We actually do sell some Google review stuff. I created a service for some of my beginner folks to help them get clients. And just so you know, Google reviews, it helps to show them the problems that it actually solves. So there are a lot of problems that businesses experience due to a lack of reviews. So one of those is, like, the phone rings. It is a tire kicker. It is someone who asks a question who's unserious and then says, okay, I got to talk to my cousin, brother, uncle, former roommate, hang up. They also, like home services, they get small jobs. Why do they get small jobs? Because people don't trust them. Why don't people trust them? Well, you don't have any fucking reviews, or you don't have enough of them, or good ones. There's also the inconsistency from, like, month to month, season to season. Like roofers, for example, they're busy after it rains and they're not busy when it doesn't rain. Or landscapers, they're real busy in the summer, don't have a lot going on in the winter. So, like, there's a seasonality. There's also gaps in the schedule. And then there's also, like, they need work for their team, right? Like, we had lots of work last week, but now my team's standing around. Google reviews helps with all of that. So I don't hammer them with the service. I hammer them with what the Google reviews will do for you. And then I validate those things as true. If you want, message me after. I can show you the actual funnel we're using right now. Interesting, you noted people don't think they have a problem, but how do you let them know they do? I've had prospects tell me they've been fine since they've been in marketing for 10 years, but aren't pulling in any views on YouTube. Well, like, that's why I said views are a vanity metric. Everybody hammers me with vanity metrics, but like I said, I got people, like, I do deal making. I got people who have 3 million person YouTube channels who make fucking 1% of the money I make with less than 10,000. Like, what would you rather be? 3 million people and be broke, or 8,000 people and be, like, at least a level of wealth? I'm not saying I'm the richest guy or whatever, but I'd do all right. So to me, like, if, like, I wouldn't even hit them with views. I would hit them with I think that's the wrong business to be in. It's like, I'll get your vanity metric. That's like, to me, like saying, like, I'll get you more likes on Facebook. Who cares? I can't go to my bank and pay with likes. So to me, I would at the very least translate to, here's how we're going to sell your course, by pumping up. And it takes a more keen eye than what most people are doing. If you want, I'm happy to message you about that later, because I get hit on a lot since I started a YouTube channel, and most of it is noise to me. Even your stuff, which I say lovingly, because you've been super persistent and super cool and super value add. but it's still like, because of just where it's aimed, it does trigger the, it's just noise to me. Just, I have the opportunity to get a free ad published in a home services magazine. Should I call out one niche for a voice AI solution and similar to your spam call? If I was going to do one thing, it would be the spam calls. It'd be like Angie's List, people looking for a job, and Google spam. Those are the big three they all get. And robocalls, if you want to count 4. It'd be like, what if you never had to answer those again? That's what I'd hit them with. They're buying their way out of a problem more than they're buying their way into your solution. So everybody wants to tell them about the AI voice thing, not the, hey, what if you never had to talk to Angie's List and motherfuckers ever again? Would you recommend the retainer model or performance? Retainer when you're getting started, performance when you know who makes a good client, and all of that. But I would get paid up front in the beginning. It's me again, the AI agency guy. So would you say that for a beginner like me, selling an AI receptionist will be better than speed to lead? I'm in Atlantic, Canada. I'd really appreciate the guidance. First of all, I'm Canadian too, that dude, in case you didn't know that. Or is that dude? I got Dara. So anyways, let's talk beginner like me, selling AI receptionist. That's why I say you got to run the market research bot, because you're not selling an AI receptionist. You're really not. Like, if you think you're selling an AI receptionist, it's the equivalent of, like, imagine a guy by the side of the road going, hammers for sale, hammers for sale. Like, how many people do you think woke up needing a hammer? Right? Or thinking they needed a hammer. But if you said, like, if you saw a guy outside who was talking about, like, I'm trying to have these awesome backyard barbecues, it'd be like, hey, you want to have some backyard barbecues? You know what you need? You need a deck. And if you want to build a deck, I got the perfect tool to build a deck. It's called a hammer, right? But if I don't know he wants backyard barbecues, then I'm just going to talk about the tool, and he's going to be like, in most niches, they don't even know what the fucking tool is or why they would want it. So to me, even the speed to lead is like, they don't know, most of them don't know they have a speed to lead problem, but they do know they have a spam problem. It's like their phone is blowing up all day with it. Like, if I just check my email right now, I guarantee you, like, some spam on my YouTube has come in while we're just sitting here. Let me see. There you go. YouTube monetization from Cole Connect Hub. Hi, Beyond Agency Profits. Kate here from KOL Connect, reaching out one last time to do blah, 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 right? So you want to hit them with what's showing up in their reality, not with what your thing is. If you skip ahead to the solution, they don't even connect it to that this solves my problem. I'll give you an example of this, okay? We got a guy in the car detailing space who does $3 million a year, and he sells websites and SEO, okay? And one of the things they do differently on their website is they put their pricing in their packages. So, like, a lot of car detailers say, call for a quote, and people call for a quote. In his case, he says, like, we got the window tinting packages. We got you want flames on your car package. You want rims and a stereo and, the wrapper car, whatever. I don't know what actual packages he has, but he puts them on the website. He goes to a lot of conferences to sell his stuff, and he does like a podcast and some content, and he's got a Facebook group. And one of the biggest things they all say is, all day long, their phone rings. They walk over to the phone. They drop what they're doing in the shop. They pick it up. Person says, how much is it for blank? And the person says, it'd be $1,200 for that. And the guy says, all right, I'll call you back. And he hangs up, and then he walks back. And all day long, it's just stop, start, stop, start, stop. And most of those people in their mind are tire kickers. So what he does not sell is, hey, you want a website? Because they don't even know the problem is their website. They just understand they're getting phone calls from tire kickers. So he does the, hey, do you get a lot of phone calls from tire kickers asking you how much is it for this and that? And they say, yeah. And he says, if I could show you how to sell the packages on your website so you never had to talk to the tire kickers ever again, and the only people who called you wanted to buy it, would you be interested in that? And they're like, where do I sign up? They're buying their way out of the tire kicker problem, not into the website solution. So it's like, don't talk about AI voice solutions at all. Like, hammer them with it's Angie's List again, trying to sell you some leads. That's how I would do it as a beginner. Just like speak to their problems. Hi, Frankie. What do you suggest? Is USA, Canada, or UK market for local SEO is competitive, or we need the right strategy to pitch? I already watched and working on ChatGPT outcome pictures. I think You can win SEO in any market with the right budget. So I don't know what to tell you to that. Thanks, man. We'll do. Maybe if you want to elaborate. Costco membership. That's a cool username. Hey, Frankie, I sell a software that can get businesses ranked top 3 in Google Maps in 7 days, and we also offer a 7-day free trial. Is it better to sell this to local businesses or to other agencies? It's up to you, but if it was me, I'd probably sell it to other agencies. You know, because especially bigger agencies, you can get 50, 100 clients at once rather than chasing them onesie twosie. But I mean, both can work. I would probably run a little experiment for a month or two and go both directions and see which one I liked working with more. I think you'll like working with agencies more because they'll get it. They'll get your pitch faster. You can actually just tell them like, here's how it ranks you, and then prove it as true. As where a plumber doesn't even know why they want to rank. So you got to there's an extra added step. To follow up on the home services magazine ad for spam calls, would you go broad or call out one niche? I think if you're in a magazine that goes out to a lot of them, I would go broad simply because they all have that same problem. They all are getting the same spam calls. Doesn't matter which niche. But having said that, long term, I would probably niche down. But since the magazine sounds like it goes to all home services, I would just find the common thread, the problem they all have. Did you ever talk about email subject line? Tell any niches. I mean, if somebody did not open your email and you're approaching with the right strategy, like ChatGPT picture and outcomes they get. I'll tell you the subject lines that have worked for me for a long time. Question, hi, first name, question about, and then I put their business name. Or question about, and then a product or service they sell. Those are the subject lines that have worked for us for many, many years. Avery, says, what are the best resources to learn paid ads or especially Facebook ads funnels for service businesses? So just so you know, I look at Facebook ads as 3 different buckets that are kind of distinctly different. So there are expertise businesses, coaches, consultants, agencies, people who sell expertise online. There are physical stuff, so e-commerce, baby products and dildos and whips and chains or whatever you guys are buying online. I'm not judging. And then there is local businesses. And depending on what I was trying to use it for, I would learn Facebook ads differently because each of those has different things. Part of the reason they're different is not because running ads is necessarily different. It's just the where the market is at. So with a local business, for example, people know what a yoga studio is. They know what a plumber is. They know what a dentist does. So you can be way more direct in your ads. And it's just a fucking offer. Just make an offer and be like, we're making a killer offer to get you in the door. And that's literally all you got to fucking do. And if you guys don't want to figure that out, I would just go straight to UpHex. Then there is e-commerce. To be honest with you guys, I have friends who do well in e-commerce, but it's not my wheelhouse. I don't sell a lot of physical stuff, but they do a lot of UCG, user-generated content and testimonials and videos of people holding the products. I don't have anybody to recommend for e-commerce because I don't really know who the best person is. Expertise stuff, I've heard a few names. Ben Heath is a name that comes up a lot. I don't know Ben personally. I've never watched his stuff, so I can't tell you if it's even any good. Just a lot of people have said they like his stuff. So I would probably start there. John Loomer is another guy who teaches Facebook ads for beginners for expertise. Expertise businesses are different in the sense that they don't know what an AI voice solution is, like they know what a yoga studio is. So you got to educate them. There's nuances that are different. But it depends what you're trying to sell. And that's the direction I would go. I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer for e-commerce, but I just don't know. Hey, Frankie, tell your secret if somebody is listed on Yelp, what common irritating issues they always get so we can offer in a follow-up. You want to think of the issues not in terms of Yelp, but in terms of what actually shows up in their day-to-day experience. So for example, if they had bad Yelp reviews, what would actually happen day to day? Right? They might get price shoppers, call them up on the phone, be like, why? Or people don't trust them. And it's almost tangible on the phone. Or they're paying their SEO and all this traffic's coming to them, but nobody's calling them, right? right? Like, why are we spending, we're number one, nobody's calling us. What the hell's going on? So you want to think about what's actually showing up for them in their reality and speak to that. And again, if you don't know the answer to that, that is why Frankie Finn built this market research bot right here. Could you show me one of your business loom videos for an example, James? I don't do that. And I'm telling you why. I've mentioned this a few times because I have had dumbasses not only steal them word for word, but actually send them to my clients that are already paying me. And they go, huh, is this guy from your company? Because he's saying the same shit you did. I go, no, it's just somebody. So, but I did a free training, Jameson, walking you through how to build one from scratch. Because to me, it's like, I understand why people want to see examples of it. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's more important to me that you build your own. Like, who gives a fuck if I can sell through video, right? Like, I'm one guy. You guys aren't interested so that you can watch me sell and go, cool, neat. It's not a fucking spectator sport. You're interested in selling your own shit. So I would go to this channel and go back a few videos. I walk through creating them. You can see how they're built. But I don't share them anymore. I used to share them all, and then motherfuckers were just too stupid with it. I'm not saying you would be. It's just like, I don't like putting them out there for that reason. And I'm not usually like, I've been doing this 20 years. About once a year, somebody does something really stupid and rips me off in such a way where I'm like, really, motherfucker, really? So that's why. And again, I'm not saying you would do that. I'm just saying if I put it out for you, I got to put it out for everybody. And surely some dumbass will do that. Having said that, if you send me an example, or if you send me a private message with you and what you sell, I will find you the closest example so you can see that, and I will send it to you privately. But I don't post them anywhere in public now. Hey, sending video and email outreach is good is because email deliberately hurt, and the email goes to spam if you send video at the start. How to get away with it? I don't send video right at the start. I mentioned that, the 4 buckets. Get them to raise their hand, give them the idea for free, talk to them about implementation, and then follow up as needed. It's like dating, right? Like if you just asked 5, I actually saw a YouTube video, a guy who went around, he asked 200 different women, do you want to have sex with me? He asked 200 women, and one of them was like, yeah, let's do it. And so went and had sex with a guy or a chick. I don't know if it was real or not, but I'm assuming if you ask enough women, like, do you want to have sex with me? Somebody will do it, right? But it's not the best way to get laid. Like sending a video going, buy my shit, if you do it enough times, will work, but it's not the most recommended way to sell your shit. To me, it's just like, my openers are really simple. It's like, I got an idea to help you get this thing you want. Are you interested in hearing about it? That's it. Like, that's my opening email. There's no video in it. And if you can prove it and demonstrate it, like, that'll make it even stronger. What do you think of the future of agencies will be the rise of AI? Like everyone says that in 5 years, it will be almost impossible to make money. I kind of shared my thoughts on that earlier, but I'll share them again because we've been on here a while. I mentioned this, but Dave has been a software engineer in our mastermind. He's been doing it for 30 years. And he said in the beginning, there's this big arms race, HubSpot, Salesforce, all these CRMs were trying to get built. And people knew if they finished the software first, they would make $1 billion before everyone else. And he said what happened over like 10 years is all the tools got built. And then everybody was like, well, which tool do I pick? Do I use Salesforce or HubSpot or this other one or GHL? Or which one do I pick? And then they're like, can you teach me how to use it? Can you help me set it up? Can you get my team on board? And he said it all shifted to a more consultant role. Like the tools existed. Nobody needed him to code a tool, but everybody needed him to be able to actually functionally use it and set it up and strategize it. So right now, like we have tools that we can build a website in like lightning speed. And reality is that when clients figure out that they can make their own website in 2 minutes, they ain't going to be paying you 10 grand to do it. Like the agency, as you know it, like has a limited shelf life. But you know what's going to happen? There's going to be 2,700 fucking website builders, and they're going to go, which one do I pick? And can you help me set it up? Can you use it? What do I say? What do I prompt it to do? Like, so to me, you're just going to shift to a consultant. So I'm not like personally all that worried about it. If you know how to strategize business, like AI is actually your friend, not your enemy. Understandable. Thanks. Hey, how did you connect with industry magazines or shoe stores? Just cold email? Yeah, I just fucking literally looked them up. I'll tell you just a little bit of backstory. I worked 3.5 years or so with one of the industry associations in legal called PILMA, the Personal Injury Lawyers Marketing and Management Association, with my friend and mentor, Ken Hardison, who's a brilliant dude. And I got to see all their behind the scenes problems. So PILMA, they ran an annual conference every year. They published a magazine. They published a newsletter. They had a YouTube channel. They had a LinkedIn community. They had workshops, like in-person workshops every month or two. And even though they published massive amounts of content, like endlessly, it was a problem. So people would say shit like, hey, I'm not going to come to the industry conference this year because it's the same speakers as last year. So behind the scenes, they're like, oh shit, we need 5-10 new speakers. Or we did a weekly webinar every week and be like, oh shit, we don't have a webinar scheduled for next week. Who are we going to get in like the next 7 days? Or, hey, we got a newsletter and somebody just bailed on us last minute. We got a blank spot in the newsletter. They were supposed to write their article. What are we going to put there? And so I know when I reach out to these people and say, hey, I wrote you an article, or I got a free training idea, or I got a cool thing that I want to speak at your conference, they literally need you. So how was I was able to do that? It's because I've been on the other side of it. I know what a shit show it is. And part of the reason is they put all their best content out. Like all the biggest people in your space are all content creators. By the way, if you want to become one of the biggest people in your space, you're going to have to be a content creator, or your organization has to become a content creator. If you want to be one of the like $100 million things, you don't have to be. But anyways, what happens is after like 30 days, they've said all the shit they know how to say. They now need other people, and for endless reasons, other people bail on them. So how do I reach out to them? I just like give them the exact thing they need. I know if they're making a podcast every week, then like 20 of the weeks they're wondering, what are we going to say this week? What are we going to do this week? Who are we going to have? We need a guest. So I show up and say, hey, I got a cool idea for a show. I'd make an awesome guest and I'm going to share your shit and promote you. Like I know they literally need me. So that's how I get in with them. It's like I've been on the other side, but you can do that without having been on the other side. But I'm saying it's like I know what their problems are because I've experienced them myself. Do you think the pay-per client model is good because it's easiest to sell, but then again is also the hardest to deliver? I would definitely not start with pay-per-lead because you can lose money on it. And pay-per-lead just, works really, really well when you have a working system, you know your costs, and you have a client who's in the top 1 to 5% of your industry. It works excellently in the excellently. Is that a word? I don't know. It works great in that scenario because you get clients who already know how to close and sell and have working offers because you know your costs. So it's like sell it for 200, get it for 100. Like that works all day long. You get all this sort of upside, but there's a lot of risk because you'll get people go like, well, I don't want to pay you for services. I've had nothing but why don't you bring me some business and then I'll pay you after the fact. And you get some dipshit who doesn't call people. Like I remember in the beginning, we tried doing it with roofers, pay-per-lead, and I didn't know what I was doing. And they just like, we would get roofers. Like I can actually remember we sent a roofer, like what would have been like a $250,000 commercial roofing thing. It would probably have been like 25 grand for us. And we're like, shit. My buddy Dan and I were like, damn, we're gonna get like 25 grand our first pay-per-lead. And so we called the guy and we're like, okay, what did they say? What did they say? What happened? And the guy was like, oh shit, man, me and the boys got real drunk last night. We're hungover as a motherfucker. So I don't see myself, but I'll mosey on over there by tomorrow and let you know how it goes. And it's like, right? How could you do that? So that's what you get if you just try and do pay-per-lead with anybody. And then often if you're spending money on leads, like you're losing money on ads. Well, this dipshit is too hungover to go fucking quote a $250,000 project. So yeah, I like pay-per-lead a lot, but I wouldn't start there. I would always start with retainer and get paid up front. So Frankie, you identify a local business that's already working with an agency or some individual in local SEO. Has that happened to you? I mean, there should be reviews, replays, or Google businesses. Blog uploading daily or anything you see to identify. I usually just look for people who are spending money in general, but yeah, I mean, it's really common for them to have an SEO agency. But, SEO agencies are like NFL coaches. There's only agencies that haven't been fired yet. Right. So I don't know. I would keep in touch with those. Like, I wouldn't expect to be able to convert them in the first meeting because you have a replacement offer, meaning they have to fire somebody to hire you. So you're going to have longer sales cycles as a result of that. But you actually want to talk to people who have SEO agencies because otherwise they're not spending money on that. And you have to convince them to do that. I asked you about the Google review system. What is the best place to DM you for that funnel you mentioned? You can either send me an email. It's Frankie at beyondagencyprofits.com. Frankie, IE, not Frankie with a Y. Or you can just hit me up on Facebook if we're already on friends on Facebook. Frankie, please break down your Loom in 3 steps. Be honest, Frankie, don't hide anything. I mean, I'll tell you the first thing I do when making, I actually make Loom videos in reverse. So I first figure out, what do I want them to do? When they say, yeah, I want to buy it, I'm like, what do I actually want them to do? I'm like, well, I want them to pay me here. So I create the payment link first. I'm like, this is the payment page. Then I go, well, how much is it? Right. And I figure out the price presentation. And then the question before that is like, how does it work? And I lay out in steps, how does it work? And then I figure out the second thing in the video is like, who is a good fit for it? So I describe who's a good fit for it. And then I come up with the first thing they see, which is the demonstration, which is like, this is what it's going to do for you. And I always say the demonstrations, they understand micro, not macro. But what I'm doing is I'm creating an irresistible offer, and then I'm visually demonstrating it. And then I'm just answering the questions that they would ask you on a sales call. And the questions they ask you aren't all that sophisticated. Like, what's it going to do for me? How much is it? How long is this shake going to take? How much is it? All right. How much? How do I get it? Like, that's all the, we think they're asking all these super sophisticated questions. They're really not. They're actually pretty basic. And so you just got to answer the basic questions really well. First of all, I smiled a lot when you told me that you were from Canada too. Didn't expect that question. What businesses do you think would need an AI receptionist? We'll do market research. Pretty much all of them. If they get phone calls, they need an AI. This is why I say, like, you got to pick a niche, but picking a niche is not because there's some super secret niche that has all the money, and if you get it wrong, it's more just like it makes your messaging on point. It makes your systems more scalable after you get clients. But there's 1,000 fucking good niches. Like, that's why I say it's like it's picking an ice cream flavor, not a spouse. So like, just grab one and pick one you're going to like talking to. But like, who needs AI voice receptionists? All of them. Because first of all, if they got receptionists now, like, she's making $5,000 a month if you count health insurance and, you know, all those kind of like other things. Like, AI can do that shit for $1,000. That's $4,000. Plus they can't answer the phone after hours, you know, Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. and later, evenings and weekends. They usually don't have good solutions. Like, there's tons of people who need that. How do you get on podcasts and stuff in certain industries if you're completely new in that industry? Like, you can't speak from experience. So how can you build authority before you actually have it? Okay, I'm going to tell you there's 2 parts of that. Okay, we'll talk mental and tactical. Mental. Okay, I call this appointing yourself the mayor of Cool Town. It's sometimes the hardest part. Appointing yourself the mayor of Cool Town is most of society has you set up where in order to get something you want, you have to go through a long, difficult journey to be declared an expert. Okay, so like, I went to school to be an engineer, hated it. Thank fuck I don't do that anymore. But if I wanted to become a professional engineer, it's 4 years of school, 4 years of working under another professional engineer. And then I got to take a test that says I basically won't do anything stupid. Like, I won't, if you give me $1 million for a bridge that I know is going to fail, I won't take the money. I'll tell on you. Like, that kind of test. Okay? 8 fucking years. Then I can call myself a professional engineer, doctor, lawyer, all similar shit. Our line of work, you're an expert the minute you say you're one. Okay. So the mental side of it is there is a lot of people, especially in the coaching industry, that love certifications, and they get sold certifications because on the inside, they don't really feel ready to coach people. That's the truth of it. So you're ready the moment you say you're ready. So I would encourage you to say, if you know how to help people, even in some small, just like small but meaningful way, you're a fucking expert. And it's hard not to be with local businesses. Just so you know, it's hard not to know more than them about like AI voice solutions. Some of you guys mentioned that. How could you possibly fucking know less than a plumber about AI voice solutions? Right? If you know even just a little, even just if you just know where to get the information on YouTube or in the high level community, or how to ask, you know, like, you're already an expert compared to them. You're 1,000 steps ahead of them. That's what an expert is. is on that particular topic, you're 1,000 steps ahead of them, sometimes a lot more, but at least 1,000 steps. So you're ready when you say you're ready. And then as far as like tactically being on the show, I always say, even if you're broke, even if you have no clients, even if you're starting out, you have good ideas to share. And I always say, like, the easiest thing to do on any sort of show or whatever is give away the good ideas and charge for the implementation. So, like, I've been teaching people how to fucking do Loom videos for like 5 years, and I've never really held back in the formula or the strategy. You know what? People message me every day. Can you help me dial my Loom video in? Because they wanted to implement it, right? And I've done nothing but give away the ideas, and yet people reach out to me to get my help on it. So you have some level of expertise, whether it's what should go on a website or, you know, how to rank a website in Google, or how to run a basic Facebook ad or a Google ad, or how to do some missed call text back in high level, or whatever it is you guys are doing. You have expertise in that. So just what I say is just tell people how to do that without you, and they'll still come to you and say, can you help me do it? I heard what you said about ranking websites, but I don't want to do that. Can you do that for me? And then tactically getting on the show is like, understand that podcasts struggle with new show ideas. So just reach out to them and say, like, I got a new cool show idea for you. And you have effectively done their job, because they're sitting around going, I wonder what we're going to talk about this week. And then you go, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we talked about this? And then you did the work. Frank, what's up, dude? Cool name. Just saying. Frank's got the coolest name up in here. I have a 70K plus Facebook group for real estate agents, and have agents raising their hands that are interested in AI voice. Shoot me your email in the Loom, and if I could jump on a call with you, please. Well, I'll tell you, Frank, I'm happy to help you monetize that, but you're barking up the wrong tree if you're trying to get me on a call. That like generally doesn't work around here. Not just for several reasons. My kids are crazy. It's probably the biggest reasons. But if you want some help with monetizing that, I'm happy to help you. And I got tons of tools and resources to share with you. Frankie, I need help with hand raisers. I have a fresh LinkedIn and kind of bare Facebook profile. Where do you even start? The Loom part I have. I actually think if you got a brand new group or you got a brand new profile, first step is actually, even before that, like there are some prerequisites before you get busy and active on LinkedIn. You need a niche. You need to know who you're aiming this shit at. If you don't have that, like, to me, like, you're just going to be untargeted, unfocused, blah, 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 and just kind of like, you know, dicking around on the platform. So the first thing is like, who am I trying to reach? And by the way, depending on who you pick, they may not actually be most active on LinkedIn. So like, ideally pick a niche that like actually is busy on LinkedIn or Facebook, you know, whatever. And then to me, the first and most important step. So I learned this just from experiencing it firsthand. I remember for me, when I decided on the legal niche, I want to say like 2015, but I'm bad with dates, you know, give or take a year around there. I got into the legal space, and I remember I was starting out, right? So like, I didn't know any of those people, and there was a reason I was telling you this, and I just kind of blanked, had a brain fart for a second. Let me just reread the question. Oh yeah. So I remember like the first 6 months, I didn't make any money, just so you guys know, like, and it was actually really weird because I just built a big agency. I burned it to the ground because I got just burnt out and didn't want to do it anymore. And then I decided to restart one. And I just assumed because I was restarting it the second time and I'd had success in the past that it would be easy. And I was actually kind of surprised to find out how much I struggled again and like didn't know what to do. And about 6 months later, I got invited to speak at one of the industry conferences. And within a matter of 6 months, I went from this unknown in the industry, like one conference led to another conference, led to another conference kind of thing. I went from being this unknown to all of a sudden I'm like one of the most well-known, well-connected people in the space. And I still to this day know like 30% of the top personal injury lawyers and all the people who service them and all those kind of things. And what I realized is there is a monetary flow in your industry that already exists. The only question is, are you part of it or not? So like when I go to the lawyers' clients, it's a big boys club, and like they're sharing deals and they're, well, you know, like somebody's buying all the ads and like, and it's an 80-20, right? Like 20% of the people spend 80% of the money. And those people usually meet face to face and they connect and those kind of things. And they're in masterminds and they read all the books and they, they share resources and tools with each other. So to me, if you've got a niche, step one is just start friending the people who are part of the 80-20 who spend all the money. Nothing. So Dan Kennedy has this idea that he says, if you think about your service like selling shoes, he said your first instinct will always be to go try and sell to somebody who's barefoot because they logically need shoes. And he says, and they'll start telling you why should I need shoes? I survived on word of mouth for 30 years without shoes. And he says, what you really want to do is sell shoes to someone who has 200 pairs of shoes in the closet. And he says, and there's always an argument that can be made why they need a 201st pair of shoe. Like, oh, you don't have dance shoes. Oh, you don't have anything that matches that dress. Oh, like your basketball shoes are wearing out. You need new ones. So there's a tendency to try and connect with people who are broke and struggling and have never invested in marketing in your industry. And you actually want to connect with all the people who are spending money. And this can be done both in real life or in person. But I say, like, if you drop me off in a room in any industry, like I've never worked with landscapers, but if you put me in a room with like 300 landscapers, I could tell you within like an hour who all the people who spend all the money are. And it's not hiding, right? Like they have branded trucks, the people who spend all the money. They have a CRM because they got a lot of leads to track. They already probably have an AI voice solution, at least some of them. They advertise on some billboards. They run Facebook ads. Like I could just start checking the Facebook ad library, see who in the room is running ads, right? So breaking that down to a first step, the first step is actually going on the platform, searching people in your industry and clicking connect or friend and start building an audience of those. It sounds like a small step, but it's like actually the most important step. Because if you're not selling shoes to people who buy shoes, you're not going to sell a lot of fucking shoes, right? So you gotta like, step one is if you're selling shoes, go start connecting with people who have a history of buying shoes. By the way, one of the secrets how I fill my events, like I got agency events, just, is I go on Facebook and I connect with people who go to other people's events because people who buy other people's events, one pair of shoes, buy shoes from me too. And right, like you either don't go to events at all, you're not a buyer, you're barefoot, or you go to lots of events, right? So I'm like, I know it's easier to sell my events if I sell them to people who buy events. So that would be my first step. It sounds really simple, but like you'd be amazed at what a profit. And just so you guys know, numbers wise, we hit $1 million a year in my second agency with about 400 to 500 really good contacts in our system. So like you need some volume, but it's not like a massive number. Like 500 of the right people can make you a millionaire in this business. But it's more about them and finding the people who spend money. It's more about like almost being like an investigative journalist than it is about, finding the right people that already spend money than it is about like trying to get people to spend money. You want to connect with people who already buy shoes. Hey, we got shoes. I'll share a quick little story just about how important this is. So it was probably around 2018. I had figured out two things that were making our agency grow like gangbusters. So one of those is I had a webinar funnel that I was doing on Facebook, and I was speaking at a lot of the lawyer conferences in person. And between the two of those, like we were adding, like I was probably adding between 10 and 50K a month, every month, like new business. Like it was like really blowing. It was stretching my systems and my team, but like we didn't have cash flow problems. We had everything else problems. And I had a bunch of my friends who were like, dude, how are you guys doing this? And I was like, well, it's a webinar and speaking. And people kept saying like, can you teach me this webinar funnel? And at the time I was so busy in work. I was like, dude, I don't have time to fucking teach you this shit. Like I can't even keep up with the clients I have, right? Like we're signing them so fast. And I remember my operations manager, he was pissed at me every day. Steven, Frankie, we need to turn off these ads. But I'm like, we're printing money, dude. Let's just keep printing money and we'll figure it out. But you're going to, dude, I'm going to quit. No, please, for the love of God, Steven, don't quit, right? That was kind of the conversations that were going on. So eventually I decided to put together a little live event. And I was like, I invited 12 people. I had 12 people come. I shouldn't say I invited, but I had 12 people come. And it was like, hey, we're going to teach you this webinar system. I remember I still did sales calls back then. And first person I called was my friend, Chris Amaro. I called Chris and I said, He said, "What's up, dude? You don't like normally call me." And I said, "Well, I'm putting together this event and I think you'd be a really good fit for it. A bunch of people have been asking me. So to be honest with you, I think I'm calling you to sell you something." And he said, "Oh yeah? Like what's the event?" And I told him like we're going to do this webinar funnel. And he said, "And when is it?" And I told him the dates. And he said, "Where is it?" And it was in Toronto, Canada. I said, "We're in Toronto." And he said, "How much is it?" And I said, "It was $5,000. And he paused for a second. And he said, "Would you let me split it into 2 payments?" And I said, "Sure." He said, "Okay, let's do it." And up until that point, I had sold $5,000 shit on sales calls and things like that, but never in 2 minutes. Like 2 minutes. I was like, hot damn. Like that was like 2 minutes, and the dude just gave me $5,000. And when I hung up the phone, I was like, why was that so easy? Why is that so easy? It's never been that easy. Like, why was that so easy? And then I was like, well, Chris is my friend. And then I thought about it and I was like, well, I have friends. I don't want to give any of my friends $5,000 just because they're my friend. Like if they really needed it, I would, but I don't give them $5,000 just because like, hey, you're a nice guy. Here's $5,000. And then I thought about it and I was, how do I know Chris? I was like, well, I know Chris because I met him at this event and I met him at that event. And I realized he's a shoe buyer, a habitual shoe buyer of events, right? And so am I, for that matter. So part of the reason I didn't have to work so hard to sell him an event is because he was used to buying events. So it was just like one more event for him to buy. And that's why adding the right people on the platform is such an important thing. Because if you don't do that, you're going to try and sell shoes to people who are barefoot, and they'll say things like, we get plenty with word of mouth. So you have to find the people who are actively spending money and then go friend, and also make your profile look the part. Sorry, let me just see where I end up. When you did the 90-day challenge, did your white label provider onboard your clients? Did they act as CSMs? They did the onboarding. I did the CSM like myself. I did the like little updates. I only had 6 clients to get to 15 grand, just so you know. So I know what clients after all these years. I just updated them myself. I could have hired somebody, but it was honestly the purpose of it was just to show people how to do it and make a point that like you could do it, pretty quickly. Looking at your white label provider, thanks, BTWRE virtual assistants. Can you comment on which are the most flexible and you don't have to buy a big package of hours? I don't know. I mean, I've had people use all of those people. So like, I would just talk to them and see, like, they're not my company, so I can't speak for them. Like, but some of them want big packages of hours. Some of them don't. Like, I would just check them out and find one that fits for you. But I don't have a better answer than that. Like I mostly just look at the names that people work with where they're consistently happy and say like, they're doing a good job for my clients. You hire them to build a website and they make a professional website and they make you look good. That's what you're looking for. But as far as their packages and stuff, I can't really comment on that because it's just not my baby. For when you run your ads for your agencies, I won't ask exactly the ad copy, but what kind of ads tend to convert best with owners who invest in agencies, or does it depend on the niche? Doesn't depend on the niche, just so you know. Like the nuances of every niche are different, but the principles are the same constantly. So firstly, if I want to talk to people spending money, like in the ad, I mentioned the things they're spending money on. So like if I was working with home contractors, they all spend money on Angie's List, SEO. So I'd be like, hey, I know you've tried Angie's List and SEO, but ... And that would immediately rule out somebody who's not spending money on Angie's List and SEO. So I just talk to the things they're spending money on. That's how I do it. And then as far as what kind of ads I run, depends where I'm at in the journey. If it's brand new, I just start with a simple hand raiser, one variable. I want to figure out like what kind of person, like what I'm trying to figure out most in the beginning is what kind of person are they trying to get? What kind of problem are they trying to solve? Right? Often the same service will solve like 7, 8 different problems for them. So I'll just test those one at a time. And I'm just looking for interested. Tell me more about that. If they're interested, I know they'll buy it, not immediately. Once I have it validated interest and I have the right problem, my campaigns get complex as a motherfucker. I aim for what I call omnipresence, which means you're going to see my ass on every fucking platform you go on. So I install lots of pixels and run lots of ads. And I have mixtures of proof like testimonials, case studies, results, if you got them. In the beginning, I don't have those, so I don't usually have those in the beginning. I have ones that handle objections. So like, hey, you may have this question or you may have this reason for not buying it, but I have explained the process. So they're like kind of educational, like and I just hammer people from all different angles across all different platforms with those. My retargeting shit's pretty gnarly, just so you guys know, but I wouldn't start with how I built that. Cause like, if you try and do that on step one, you'll build this complex Frankenstein monster based on things people don't want. I first figure out like what they want, and then I get really fucking complicated. How can we get on your white label vendors list? Biggest thing is like do it for some of our people, and like, if they're happy with it, I'm happy to add you to a list. Like that's the biggest thing. If you did the 90-day challenge again, would you use Rebecca? Oh yeah, I saw your question in the group, Paul, on that. I was actually going to get to that. Probably not, even though I think Rebecca's shit is awesome. Part of the reason I wouldn't is because the reason I used a white label partner is simply because, so I'll give you a little bit of backstory of how the 90-day challenge came to be. I got asked between 500 and 1,000 times this exact question, like often even with no variation. People would say, if you were me and you're starting over and you want to get to 10K a month as fast as possible, what would you do? I got asked the question so many times. I was like, should I build a course on this or should I do a training or whatever? And I don't know, none of it really felt all that good to me. And then, I was like, what I would actually do is blah, blah, blah. And I thought about it and I was like, but that's kind of advanced for like your average beginner. And I was like, you know what? At some point I'm like, I'll just fucking do it and I'll document the process. And whenever somebody asks, I'll just send them to the documentation because I don't want to answer the question anymore. And at the time, I was doing about 6 different things. So it's not like I really had a lot of time to grow an agency. In fact, I actually went through my own fears and doubts about it because it was like, I announced to everybody I was going to do this. And then I got started and I was like, I don't even have time to do this. Here you are, you're teaching people to grow an agency. You don't have time to do it. You're going to start this challenge. You're going to fucking fail and you're going to put your reputation on the line. You're going to fucking lose. Like, why did you do this? That was really fucking stupid. I had those kind of like fear-based thoughts. And so like, I have my own partnerships and clients I have. We do some real estate stuff. I run a whole agency, mentorship and coaching. And, like down here on the list was, I'm going to build this 10K a month agency. So I didn't really have a lot of time and it wasn't priority one. Like I can do things now where like, I make a lot more money than just running a little small time agency. And so I had basically no time. So I really only had time to like an hour a day, do needle moving shit and then no fulfillment. So part of the reason I structured it that way was just like, it was the constraints. Plus I spent a lot of time with my kids, right? Like, it's like, do you really want to give up playing with your kids so you can run workshops? That didn't sound appealing to me, but there are plenty of reasons to run workshops, just, so like, I don't know, it's up to you. Do you prefer direct response marketing by itself, or do you also run a catch-all campaign supplemental? Sorry. Both. So, like I said, I usually start with a very simple direct response, measure interest, and if there's interest there, I know people will buy it. If I know if there's no interest there, they won't. But I think so. When I was a kid, like we were poor and we had like 4 TV stations that came in. We had the bunny ears. I don't know if you guys grew up with the bunny ears. And like my brother Jordan, like, Jordan, don't move. You fucking got it. It's finally, the channel's finally coming in clear. We didn't have cable or satellite or any shit like that. So there were like 4 stations. The radio had like 4 stations. So there was like you'd go to school on Monday morning and everybody had watched the same TV shows on the weekend because we all got the same 4 stations in the ghetto, right? Like there wasn't that much choice. You compare that today, I think people are more distracted than they've ever been. So like there's Netflix, and Netflix got 8,000 fucking shows you can binge on, or movies. YouTube is now at the saturation point where they have more videos than people to watch them. There's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's Facebook. and there's like real life shit. You drive by billboards. So I think people are so inundated with messaging that I think the way we normally conceptualize of direct response of like one ad, one response, I think they have to see the ad like 7, 8 times to even get their attention in the first place. So to me, I think AI is only going to accelerate the noise. Like there's going to be more, like if I had to bet everything I own on 2 years from now, will there be more content or less? I'll bet everything on more, everything I own without any fear of losing it. So I think AI is going to accelerate that. And I think the only way to stand out from the noise is repetition. So I do direct response ads, but when I run ads, I expect that they're going to have to see my ads 7, 8 times. So that's why when you hear clients like, I turned on the ad, it's been 24 hours, I'm not a millionaire. Like, it's like they need to see it a bunch of times because they're, I don't know if you guys ever had this experience, but they used to put magazines in like airlines. So, you're bored. There's no TV. This is before everybody had phones. You'd read the magazine. Happened all the time. You get to a magazine. You're like, oh, that sounds interesting. I think I'll buy that. And you don't. You don't, right? Well, what happens if you then saw that ad a second time and a third and a fourth time? I bet you they'd get you on the second and the third and the fourth time. Like, I think there's tons of times where direct response, where people see that, think it's interesting, even think I would buy that and don't. And so, I don't know. I definitely have like complex campaigns these days. Yeah, I'll tell you a little story on that. Just, I have a friend and mentor. His name's Ken. He was a really, really successful big shot attorney for a lot of years. And we were talking about billboards. And he said, Frankie, one day I got the suspicion that my billboards weren't doing anything. And I decided to test it. And I said, how did you test it? And he said, I put a tracking phone number on the billboards. And he said, what do you think happened? I said, you didn't get a single phone call, right? He said, I didn't get a single phone call. I said, so what did you do? And he said, so I canceled all my billboards. And he said, you know what happened? And I said, nothing, right? He said, wrong. As soon as I canceled my billboards, he said, my radio calls went down. My TV calls went down. I noticed overall the phone stopped ringing. He said, I realized that nobody called directly from a billboard, but simply seeing my name and the familiarity reinforced all the other direct response stuff I was doing. I went, that's interesting. And when he said that, I started running my own test with those kind of concepts on Facebook, and I found the same sort of thing, that, brand recognition, to your point. And so what I realized is the point of direct response, I used to laugh at all the brand guys because I thought brand ads were retarded, just like people who spend money and don't want to measure the results. But I realized the point of running direct response is to build a brand. And so I do them both at the same time. And, but I always start with direct response. Like I don't run any ads to anything that I don't know is going to work. Like I don't even bring in brand kind of things until I'm scaling up what works. Just got 2 more questions I wanted to get here out of the Frankie, Finn, and Fam. I have a question regarding joining private Facebook groups for your niche. Private groups, typically one of the screening questions is, are you in a niche job? How does one answer this question? I'm ready to rock and roll. Just tell them the truth. Just say no, but I'm wanting to work with these people, and it's a very useful market research tool. I intend to add value. I'm never going to spam anybody in the community or whatever. Can I still be part of it? And they'll say yeah. Part of the reason they just put that, just so you know, because like I run a community and many of my friends do as well, is you just get a lot of spam. So as long as you like reassure them you're going to use it properly and not spam people, like they don't care if you're not actually part of the niche, generally speaking. I guess Paul asked that question. Hey, Frankie, if you did the 90-day challenge again, okay, so I guess that looks like all the questions. Well, cool, guys. I'm going to call it a show there. We've been going 2 hours and 10 minutes. I got to go eat some food, have some lunch with my kids. Got to catch up on a couple of things, too, since I've been on vacation for like 9 days. But I appreciate you guys coming on here, listening, tuning in. You guys are the coolest. As long as you guys keep showing up, I'll keep making these, and we can have some fun and shoot the shit and grow these agency businesses together. Appreciate you guys all for, being awesome and tuning in. And that's, I guess, all I got for this Tuesday. I'll see you guys next Monday. We'll be at the regular time on Monday, which is around 10 o'clock my time. But that's all I got for you guys today. Much love. Happy Tuesday. May the Triforce be with you.